Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 116, and more importantly, the number of the night is 71.
71. Trying to think. 71. The number of more years until the Cubs win a World Series.
No, the number of years since the Cubs have been in the World Series. And right now, as we're just getting started, right promptly 3 minutes late, we have the Cubs are currently down 3-0. I'm going to time and date stamp this, and it's going to happen throughout this podcast tonight.
I told Terry we could put a scoreboard in the lower left-hand
We can run
corner.
a ticker. I'm good with that. They are currently down. It's the end of the fifth. The Indians are leading 3-0 after a little bit of a rough start for the Cubs. So
I was a little disappointed, and I hope they do it tomorrow night, maybe not for the first night. If they bring back as many of the major league characters as they can, if that first relief pitcher isn't Wild Thing, I'm going to be heavily disappointed.
I know, and there was talk of that. I know that's circled around the internets, having Charlie Sheen at least make some appearance to come out in some kind of relief style or throw out a first pitch or something. I had to dig a little bit deep. I found it in the closet, my 2003 World Series Cubs shirt. I had to go all the way actually to Africa first to take it off some large child there, and then it went in the closet for a few years. Shirt a little bit prematurely made. I bought it down right behind Wrigley Field.
Right where all the good shirts
where
are
all the
bought.
good stuff is held. I bought it behind Wrigley Field as they were in the playoffs in 2003 and came up just a few out short. I got myself a discount t-shirt, so I made sure to get it back out. Figure now is the most appropriate time to finally bust it out. More than ever. So,
faux show.
yes, and we don't talk too much hardcore sports usually, and we've talked about it a number of times in that I've always been a Cubs fan for life. I don't follow a ton of sports very intensely, but I have always had an allegiance to the Cubs ever since I was a much smaller little fella. And there's a lot of people talking about that entire generations have come and gone, and people have lived their entire lives without seeing the Cubs win a World Series. And I thought I might be one of those guys. But tonight,
you get to see them in the World Series.
Get to see them in the World Series. All right, we do have podcast number 116. We're going to be talking with none other than Team WhalePants. That is the combo of Tina Stanaitis along with Eric Oakley. They're traveling around. They've got RV stories. They've got life stories. They've got tournament stories. They've got some goods for us. So we'll be checking in with them probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes, actually. I'll also be giving a little bit of an update of what we saw at the Next Generation Tour finale that took place out in Arvada, Colorado. And that was, of course, put on by Latitude 64 and their crew and team leader in Dave Felberg. So a quick little visit out to Colorado this last weekend so I could consume some golf and take it in, seeing some of the top amateurs that were traveling around the country to win some serious prizes that I think are some of the biggest prizes at the amateur level we've ever seen. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. And maybe we've got a few other updates. We saw the PDGA recently announce or put out an article talking about some of our best and most consistent players over the top last 10 years as we've been keeping more and more stats. So that was a very interesting article that we could touch on. And I'm going to lead off with two other quick, very important things that are near and dear to me. I would like to say, first and foremost, happy 2-year anniversary to Nate and Valerie. Just 2 short years ago. Yeah, wow. 2 short years ago over in Bend, Oregon, they got married. So 2 of our favorite people in the world, 2 amazing smashies and good friends. So happy anniversary to Nate and Val. And also one of the most talented cameramen / editors that we've ever seen in disc golf, and you're going to see more of them, we're hoping, moving into 2017, more of his work, and that's Joe Canali. So Joe, happy birthday to you, buddy. Thank you for the amazing work that you've done, and looking forward to seeing more work from you anytime we can in the future. And for those that don't know, a lot of the pieces that you saw that featured some of our top players along with the Disc Golf Pro Tours backdrop, which was all shot at the Memorial this year, a lot of that was set up and assembled by Joe Canali. He's also put out a few of the pieces, I think of Head Games as a piece that he put out a few years ago. Some just really amazing work, and Joe's got a ton of experience. So, as we said, very, very talented gentlemen. So it looks like we got a bunch of smashies out there on the board. And so glad you guys could all join us. We've got some of our regulars. AJ the disc golf boy, is out there. Tina Stanaitis is logged in, taking it in.
She, you spelled her name wrong.
Did I in the opener?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally did.
I fixed it, so I don't know when it's going to show up.
Yeah, I can see just by looking at it again. I can tell that I spelled it wrong. Sorry about that, Tina.
Yeah.
Jordan Castro, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you out there. So, and Liz Lopez, we haven't heard or seen from in a while. She's also on the board. And yes, Tina, it was spelled incorrectly twice because I wrote it and then I simply copied and pasted it. So if it was spelled incorrectly the first place, you're going to get it the second place. So, all right. Yeah. Sure. So what's the Cubs score?
It's still 3-0. I did put the ticker at the bottom so everyone can see it.
So I'll have to do a little refresh myself. I'll actually have to pay attention to what's going on our screen so that I can see what's going on. But very, very exciting if you're a Cubs fan. And if you're not, there's a lot of history.
There is a lot of history. And as I told you, I'm a traditionalist. Traditionally, the Cubs lose. I'd like to see
Traditionally, they also don't make it into the World Series.
You're right.
So they've broken...
they have broken one.
A pretty major one in that case.
And I have no skin in the game at all. I'm a Brewer fan.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, though, between the two of these, I'm a bigger Indians fan just because I tend to go with the American League almost, unless it's the Brewers.
Which is funny because as a default, I was growing up as a kid when I was much more heavily in baseball. I was always a National League guy.
Yeah, and then the Brewers switched over to the National League.
They would.
And I grew up a Red Sox fan, Wade Boggs, Mike Greenwell, those guys, but then also a little bit of a Twins fan, But you gotta love the Indians.
No, you don't.
I do.
Not at all.
I do.
There's no reason to love the Indians. Give me one historical or magical fact about the Indians at all. Like, give me any part of any
that they haven't won since '68. They're the second. They're the second longest streak.
But my point is, give me anything like other than that. Give me anything cool or unique or special about them.
They were the source
ever.
of Major League,
which was shot in Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee,
ironically enough, but
at County Stadium.
Other than Major League, which is arguably one of the funniest comedies I think of all time, but
it is.
Other than that, there's not. The Cubs have so much other, random history from Wrigley Field and the ivy and the rooftops. There's so much more originality to the Cubs than anything.
And it would be really cool to see the Indians win for the whole Cleveland kind of the big long. This is Ricky, and you've got the Cavaliers, and then the Indians.
I know.
Which is funny because a coworker who about 2 years ago moved back to, I think it's Cleveland where she moved to. She was a big Cleveland sports fan, and she stopped in the office yesterday because she was in town for a wedding, and she mentioned like 2 or 3 other world champions this year that came out of that general area of like small random things, and I had to chime in with, and the disc golf world champion is from is.
2 of them from Ohio originally.
That's what I'm
I know. I actually, when I called Nate and Val today, I said, "That's great, it's your anniversary," but I just realized you're probably sitting somewhere watching and rooting for the Indians, so I'm going to have to end this call early, and that's the way it went down. All right, well, like we said, we're going to have some disc golf action for you. A pretty unique weekend, and we really couldn't have better guests to break it down for us in that this weekend an unsanctioned event was played, the Disc Dash for Cash, taking place in Idaho, and it was an unsanctioned PDGA event, and spoiler alert, the winner was Eagle McMahon. But one of the most unique, and taking home a $5,000 check, which is obviously incredible.
Pretty awesome.
One of the largest checks that'll be written this year in disc golf. But what was really unique about it was the fact that 2 out of the 4 rounds were played on the dynamic disc Marksman baskets.
The smaller diameter basket. Well, the basket's the same.
Actually,
diameter.
I believe the basket itself is a tad smaller too.
Is it?
Someone told me that this weekend.
Because I know the chains are clearly smaller,
and much
that's
less.
really what the thing is. So
yeah, making the target that much smaller. And so I had a brief conversation with Bobby Brown, and as we mentioned, Eric, I believe, was on maybe in the lead card. I think Tina was too. But we'll be able to get some direct feedback from them as to what they thought, and we're curious to hear what you thought out there. Last week, Bobby and Jeremy Rusko were talking about. That's when they kind of broke the news, at least to us, that's how it was going to be played, and to see a larger event, and especially with one with so much money on the line, to see an event using these smaller baskets, I'm interested to hear the feedback from other people that played there and what people thought of that. I know Bobby did a little bit of video work this weekend, and he was out there getting some footage, and I haven't even had a chance to see it all yet, but I'm really interested to see, because if there's one narrative that's kind of been repeated over and over for the last few years when we're talking about advancing or developing disc golf a little bit, a lot of it comes back to making the targets smaller. Some say catch better, but sometimes, whether it's conversely or not, some people also say make them smaller, make it harder to putt, because we're almost counting on all of our top players to make everything inside 30, 33 feet or so. And it almost becomes routine and boring. I'll admit, watching non-professionals this weekend, I did have that much more of appreciation for how consistent and how easy our top pros make putting look from inside 33 feet, because our non-top pros make it look a little bit tougher. So if you watch some of our top players live at an event and see how many putts they make, and then compare that to your own stats, and you'll see that's truly where the money is won in our sport. All right. Grant out on the board asked why Eagle's not on the podcast. We actually invited Eagle. Last week we had reached out, and it wasn't going to work because I think he was traveling maybe with Eric and Tina, or they were busy. Or I think he had a friend he was going out with or meeting up with, I believe. And that would have made sense because he had such a great performance at the USDGC. And then after winning, I reached out to him yesterday, and he said he was going to politely decline, and he said that Eric and Tina would also make for great guests. So we had talked about Eric and Tina even last week, so it kind of worked out well that we're having everybody. So, Grant says he's all over Final Round Radio, but too cool for Smashbox. Eagle turned 18 right here on Smashbox. I'm not going to say we made him a man, but he...
I would not ever say that.
I'm not going to say that either.
Okay,
but
good.
He turned 18 right here on our show.
He did.
And he had a breakout event at Glassblown 2 years ago, live on Smashbox, and he watches Smashbox. I don't know. Maybe the number one podcast in disc golf is just proving it, flexing their muscle a little. Well, either way, we're excited. In just a few moments, we'll dial up Tina and Eric, and we'll get them on the line. And as also pointed out, we saw that, yes, Paul Ulibarri with an ace. Did you see any follow-up as is Sports Center follow-up or anything to that?
Nope. I didn't even watch the ace, to be honest with you. I haven't...
Okay. Central Coast, 2-camera. I think I watched it without volume because I was out filming myself, and I was filming someone else. I wasn't filming myself, but
Sure.
And Yuli was very calm about it. He was playing. He was the last to tee, threw up a shot. They got the throw. They got the catch. And then from what I could see, Yuli was very calm and collected. Like, no big deal. And
how far was the hole?
Gosh, I don't even want to guess. I thought it was shorter at like...
I was going to say over or under 350.
I think, it's under. I want to say it was 272. I'm guessing we could...
Barely worth getting excited about.
An ace is an ace.
It is, and I'd be excited about it.
But Yuli was just on Sports Center with a 400-foot ace.
Yeah, so this one's he's like...
NBD, right?
No big deal.
All right. Well, in a moment here, let's dial up Eric and Tina, and maybe we'll get some more insider information from a crew that was actually there at the event. Again, we saw Central Coast was out there filming, which is awesome. Hopefully we'll see some of the footage. And I know Bobby was out there. He said that he was filming a lot of the putting, and he was getting conversations about that. He wasn't out there to film necessarily tournament action and get shot-by-shot coverage. Bobby Brown of Dynamic Disc was out there just to get people talking about the Marksman and everything else. So we can now bring in part of the #WhalePants tour, and that's going to be Eric Oakley and Tina Stanaitis. Hello, guys, and welcome to the show.
What's up, guys?
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We were just saying there's no better inside information that we can get other than two people who were just at the event. And if it's all right, let's start there.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So the views looked majestic. Is that true? Give us a breakdown on the property.
It's unreal, really.
Yeah.
It's one of the most beautiful places I've been.
I've been there 3 years running, and every time I go back, it seems to look more and more beautiful every single time. If you saw any of the coverage, you see the bridge in the background, the waterfall, and then just the landscaping is gorgeous. So.
And is this Twin Falls, Idaho?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cool because you just drive and there's flat ground everywhere, and then all of a sudden there's a canyon and it's just gorgeous out of nowhere. You wouldn't know it from like the town or the highway or anything, that there's just like this majestic place hidden there. It's really cool.
It kind of makes me think of Brooksville. Mike Barnett hosts the Throw Down the Mountain, and everyone's like, mountain in Florida? Yeah, right. And all of a sudden you drive out to this property, and you're like, oh my gosh, there are actually hills out here. It's not quite a mountain,
Right.
but there's some legitimate hills out here.
Big hills.
So
Same idea, absolutely.
That's
it doesn't
awesome.
look like much until you get there, and then it's breathtaking.
So break down the event a little bit for us as to what you guys, what brings you there, what expectations you have. It's not sanctioned. All these unique factors, I think, play a part of it. Break it down for us.
Well, Ben and Mike Stradley are the two guys that head run it. Mike Stradley runs the shop, and Ben is he's a course manager. I'm not sure his actual job title.
He was the tournament director for that one.
Okay.
Mike helped with everything. And Mike's awesome, so big ups to him because we went there pretty much for him.
Okay.
Chris Telesbo just got home.
Okay.
So, but
Smashbox.
with Ben and Mike, they worked really, really hard to keep the professional disc golfer and the touring disc golfer in mind, while also putting on an event that local players are excited about. We're paying very, very paying very high to the top places if you do place, and that's a draw factor. And then you talk about the courses that you get to play. We're on a beautiful manicured ball golf course that I would imagine, I don't know ball golf as well, but I would imagine it's a top level ball golf course.
It certainly seems like it.
And when you have that, and we're playing disc golf with beautiful views, and
there's a waterfall in the background of like most of your throws, and if not, then there's this giant, beautiful bridge. It's just coming from someone that didn't cash and spent $200 to play, like kind of just a $200 vacation to play amazing disc golf and hang out with really cool friends and run around in golf carts all weekend. So absolutely worth it.
I was going to say, it
So
looked
much
like everybody had a lot of fun in the golf carts from what I've seen. A little bit of the Bobby Brown footage.
Way
that he
too
put
much
out
fun.
early.
I was just gonna say I'm always reluctant, and I think I've hosted 4 or 5 different temp courses on ball golf courses. Everybody wants the cart, and a good majority shouldn't be trusted with one. Were there any issues?
not that I saw, but I tapped, and it was not. But no, Eagle was driving me around most of the rounds that we played together. So rounds 2 through 4, I let him drive the cart mostly because I was driving him around enough in the Maniac. So it's about time he drives me around.
He's old. He has a license. He's old enough to drive a golf cart.
He does not have a license.
Oh,
so
okay.
It was a learning experience for him. To say Eagle's name more.
So let's talk a little bit about divisions and standings. Tina, how many women ultimately were there? I know they were offering a pretty serious guaranteed first place, weren't they?
Yeah, Open Women was 2,500 for first place than we normally see ever in a field. So, Mike, I think the shop put up all of that money, which is really cool. And there was a big shuffle of players just like right up until Friday when you had to register. So I kind of decided last minute whether or not I wanted to play. Sarah Holcomb was signed up, and I think John had to go down to California early. And then Karina Knowles and Jessica Weiss. So I got to play with those two all weekend. It was really fun. I'm surprised not more people showed up, but it's $200 to play, so without big sponsors, and it's an unsanctioned event, so that's different than we normally see. But still, you're playing for $2,500, so
yeah, that's incredible. And now, Tina, I know I've seen you play. You haven't been playing that long. But you dip your toe in pro women from time to time, and this was a good time to do it.
I moved up after Emerald.
So you're full time no matter what every. Oh.
I'm all pro now. I cashed at Solitude, so I had to commit to it.
Okay, well you didn't announce it on Smashbox, so it wasn't official. So
okay, but now it's official. I'm officially open pro woman. Thank
awesome.
you.
Okay, awesome. Well, very cool. Now, what was the course like for you? Because when a lot of people think ball golf courses or converted courses,
long, open,
boring,
windy. That's what most people think.
That's what people think.
Not windy.
Okay.
Not boring. Long and open, yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
I love big bomber courses, though. I like to just be able to get out and just throw as hard as I can. My shoulder doesn't love it, but that's okay. I prefer that kind of golf right now anyways. I'm really learning a new bag right now, so throwing in the woods is a lot harder for me than throwing in the open. So.
Okay.
And we played on Marksman's for two of 4 rounds. So that's like a whole nother concept.
Yeah,
so
and I was going to say
really good, so that worked out really well.
Well, and I was just going to say I want to have that's a whole nother conversation, but let's start with you. Give us your marksman experience, and just full disclaimer, this isn't so much on Smashbox's behalf. This isn't any kind of for or against marksman as a actual product. I think conceptually the smaller targets.
The idea of a smaller basket.
Yeah, and it happened to be the Marksman, and we love DD. I just want to make sure everyone knows that this isn't like that's not the intent of the question, but we're going to be talking a lot about smaller targets.
Sure. I had, and we had talked plenty about it since it's such a different concept, but I really liked them. And actually on the long course, the harder course of the two, the second day we played with Marksman's, and I played better that day. I scored better that day than I did with regular baskets, which was really fun. Yeah, but for me, because it's not as easy, I focus a lot more, just kind of naturally. It's not like a forced thing. You just you really have to make sure you're ready to putt. And I was able to hone in a little bit better. There definitely were some longer putts and one shorter one that I will tell you about that would have stuck on a bigger basket, I think. Running a 40-footer is a totally different ball game with those Marksmans. And there was maybe 1 or 2 that probably would have been in, another 2 maybe that would have stuck, and then I had one that it was literally a drop-in from 4 feet away, and I didn't hit any chains. I just dropped it in the basket, and it hit on edge and popped itself out.
Oh.
Wow. Now, is that really the basket's problem? I mean,
I swear the bottom was made of rubber. It was insane. But I think the reason for that, the chains are so skinny that you can get a disc all the way in there without ever touching any chains at all.
Mm-hmm.
So when it sits in there, it's not hitting anything to pop back up. It's just, all right, I'm out. That's cool.
Did you find... I was going to say, did you find yourself, when you were putting at the basket, did you find yourself not going for the chains as much and maybe trying to drop the putter in from a distance? Like maybe flop it in, so to speak, as opposed to where most of the times we'll aim at chains, smash, and fall?
I putted lower than usual and a little bit more nose down or a little more lofty and gentle. Not floppy. I'm not a floppy putter. That's not my thing.
So we've heard. Whatever that means.
It definitely changed my putting style. I'm a really aggressive putter, and on those baskets, you better not be, because if you hit the best putt possible and hit dead center chains, you're hitting the pole and you're bouncing out most of the time. So it definitely changed my putting game, but it was kind of a fun challenge. It was more about the layups, really.
Okay.
Because you better be close. You better be within 20, and even 20-footers are whoa.
So it really puts more emphasis, and that's exactly what Bobby had echoed. He felt like he heard a lot of people saying, yeah, the putting, obviously the people focused more, but he said there was so much more emphasis on throwing a great approach shot because you're truly trying to get as close as possible every single time.
Yeah. I would have liked, I would like, I guess, more opportunity to play on stuff like that. It's something you need to practice before you're really good at it, but, running the basket without really running it like you would a normal sized basket, because 30-footers are more reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
It's really intriguing, and I really like the way it made your brain think differently than I've had to in a long time. So, yeah, it was fun.
All right. Well, first and foremost, it makes me want to find a tournament or put on a tournament that has those baskets, because I do think it would be such a unique experience, and I think everybody can agree, whether you loved or hated it, it was definitely a unique experience playing half of the rounds on them and then half not.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that was a whole other thing. Like, we would have liked to see the whole tournament done with all smaller basket styles, just for consistency's sake. You're not switching back and forth.
Sure.
But I couldn't say that I putted better on the bigger baskets afterwards. I guess I don't know. I just thought more when I was putting on Marksman's.
And that could be a good thing. All right, Eric, we'll shift right into then the basket questions. Well, no, I've got a lot of similar questions, but we'll shift right into the basket question right away.
Cool.
What was your experience, and how did you feel about it?
Well, I think it's as what's been echoed already is the emphasis on how good your layup was, and not necessarily layup. We say approach, even just decision making across the board was really, really important, because if you decided to be aggressive at the wrong time, it was always a good chance that it was not only going to cost you just that one stroke, because you went from 40 feet to 20 feet and you're just, oh, that's fine, I'm going to bang a 20-footer. It was 40 feet to 20 feet, and now my 20-footer is still a tester. Now, if over the long period of time of golf, your decision-making is huge, because if you go 40-footer to 5-footer every single time, and you're saying, I'm guaranteeing myself this only in 2 strokes, you're going to shoot very well, and you're going to catch strokes on players that you're going to see who run into that 3-putting happening. But I think it's great. It made me play better. It made me focus on my approach being where it needed to be and executing the shots I needed to. So I would love to see us move in the right direction. Now, the Marksman basket is not made for this, and that's the common thing that had to be remembered, that this is a practice basket that we were using. And I had a couple spits that were mean, if you will, that I was like, oh man, that probably should have stuck, but it didn't. And all you can do at that point is laugh. You're just like, it's a Marksman basket.
You got Marksman.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right, because you're right. They are practice baskets. They're not
tournament ready.
They're not meant for tournaments yet.
Heavier, thicker chains would help. The base being a little bit different, we talked about. There's a couple things that could be improved, but
sure,
they're going to test all that stuff out if they actually do it.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Just that is a pro marksman, so to speak, or the tournament quality marksman. And as we're all saying, it's not that it's an inferior basket, but it's meant as a entry level, lower priced targeting device. Exactly. So if somebody was going to install them permanently, they'd probably make a few adjustments for them. Would you agree? Would you have liked to see all 4 rounds played on them? And do you think that would have made any difference, standings or score wise?
As far as score wise goes, I know why we didn't, because they wanted to see the difference. This was a very good test of what does it really do? Does it have an impact? Yes, it has an impact on a couple strokes usually over the course of the rounds. And as a player, I would have loved to see all 4 rounds. Yes.
Okay.
But as understanding how the tournament was run and what they were trying to accomplish, I get it, and I'm for it as well, because we could run into this issue. It's like, oh, it was great, we played all 4 rounds, but we have look at how everybody shot, but we have nothing to compare it to.
Okay.
So that to me was a good reason for, as the people who are taking down the numbers, that it helps give us a instant feedback of look at the difference between the rounds, look at how the players play differently, look at the approach styles and everything that happens. And I think that was a great decision on the tournament directors, Ben and Mike.
Okay.
In that regard.
Well, awesome. Now, we're all four rounds though were played from the same tees, just to a different style of basket. Was that how it was set up?
Yes, they decided they were going to move the tees, but for the same thing that we just talked about, just to get the numbers right, tee pads stayed the same, and then only the baskets moved.
Hold on, though. I want to mention something because we played 2 days of practice rounds from tees where we thought they were supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mike came up and was like, all right, this tee pad's going here. So we practiced from those tee pads.
Okay.
And then the round started, and almost every single one of the short round or the short course tee pads were moved.
Okay.
And not just like a little bit, like you have a new shot now.
Really?
Yeah.
They
which
threw you off.
I've never experienced that kind of like practicing, you know what shots you're going to throw, and then getting out there and like, oh my God, I might have to throw a hyzer here instead of like a huge Annie. Like completely changes your shots.
And it was this way for
What?
everybody, right? Nobody had an advantage. Nobody knew where the correct tees were. So everybody suddenly came into this course not knowing what was going on, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, unless someone went out in the morning and walked the course before
Or some
the
of the
morning round
locals
started, or if
had played the course or had talked with Mike.
or if on lunch the other group went and walked the short course
Sure.
before they had to play it. Like that's really the only way there would have been an advantage to anyone else. But pretty much everyone was playing it from new tee pads. So that brought in a whole new thing. It was kind of fun though.
Well, I was just gonna say it.
Some hyzer there, maybe. All right, we'll try it in a tournament. Like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, I think most of us have at one point not been able to practice a tournament and showed up that morning thinking like, all right, whether it was years ago when you first started playing or if, it's travel, sometimes people's travel arrangements don't quite work and you have to show up without practice. So this
Right.
is, at least you were on site.
This was different though. Like actually being there and practicing really solid and knowing exactly what I was going to throw. And then
Sure.
it's different than playing it blind. It's like, it's just so different. I don't know.
What you get on these courses, though, is you're playing a course par 60 and a course par 66. And so in a lot of ways, one shot is changing, and that's the tee shot. And some of the baskets some of the tee pads were very different, but we are on a course, or on courses that aren't permanent. Mm-hmm. Because we are sharing with the golf course and working with Canyon Springs Golf Course and staying under their rules, it's hard to put down permanent tee pads that would have stayed the whole time because of all the practicing and how much damage we do to the tee pads and the grass and everything, which is very important and for ball golf.
Okay. Yeah, understandable. I mean,
no, I know you weren't. I know you weren't.
Yours-
It's a tough situation that they were handcuffed in.
well, no, we're playing on, borrowed land or borrowed time or whatever the case might be, borrowed land in this case, and you need to make sure that the disc golfers need to make sure, and the tournament staff need to make sure they're leaving everything in as good or better condition than how we had it. Otherwise, you may not be welcome back at all. So you're, and that's all part of the, big push ultimately for private facilities and so on and so forth. But so in talking with the scores, Mike actually has just provided me a couple of the details regarding the scores and the payout, saying that there was 17 open men, and which is crazy to see then still a $5,000 first place prize, and then second was $1,500, which in theory, at least on paper, went to Nico. Do you have any idea if did they split that or did they play straight up for the difference, or is that a secret? Look to Eagle, and then I'm on to you guys. Yeah, we'll know. So and then third place $1,000 that looked like it went to Yuli for shooting a 228. And then it says Eric. I'm guessing that's you for
That's me.
okay.
Took fourth.
So for fourth place, that's $800, and then Josh Flynn came in just behind you for $600.
It wasn't just behind. No offense to Josh.
Oh,
Oh, snap.
like
He earned his fourth place.
I did.
Yeah,
It was an 8-stroke difference.
a little
between
more, and half
me
that
and
distance you were behind Yuli. So if we're gonna play fair here,
I was only 4 strokes behind you. That's
Yeah,
one round. Well, yeah, but playing it, you think about it this way: Yuli's a top 10 player in the world, and I'm
14th
still
over the last
new.
10 years.
You gotta give me some credit too.
All right. Well,
And Flynn and I are good friends. He can take.
so yeah, obviously those payouts are ridiculous, and for all the reasons we kind of opened the show with. That's hats off to them for the effort that they're putting in. I think this is just your classic end of the season burnout, where only our road warriors are still on board. You don't, a Nate Doss isn't that far away. For instance, and so many of our, Ricky Wysocki was on the other side of the country, but so many of our players are just like, USDGC is done, and we're going to take it easy.
Yeah.
And I guess this proves a phenomenal course with a guaranteed payout that's proven itself over 3 consecutive years. You got to wonder if that's still enough to bring more in, and maybe it's not.
They might have to either move it up if possible, or raise the purse. Come on, bigger, better purses.
I mean,
it's huge already.
It
for
is.
how
It really
big
is.
the field, even the year it was big, I think the field wasn't. I mean, it was still easy to make money if you're one of the top guys. So
yeah. So
I don't know. It's gorgeous, but the pay-in is large.
okay.
And the trip, if you're going to be in North Carolina for your last event, that's still
Sure.
that's still a drive from everybody's home. So.
Yeah, it makes sense if you're more towards, if after USDGC you have to go more towards the west side of the country,
Right.
then it makes complete sense. I can understand why a lot of the eastern guys aren't making their way over.
Yeah, but for a $5,000 paycheck, we don't really.
Ladies, 2,500, like that's
Yeah.
pretty much unheard of.
And so, giving fair credit, I don't even think we discussed how the finishing went on the women's side. Can you?
Karina Knowles took it down, and Jess got second.
Okay.
I definitely didn't play good golf,
Okay.
which is fine. I'm mildly injured and wasn't even planning on playing, and just decided to last minute because it was awesome being there. So that's fine. It was
So-
great playing with them, and Karina's killer. She's awesome.
Yeah, she is. I've seen her play some really good golf, and
So good.
wow, pretty amazing. Yeah, and that may be I'm guessing it's her largest payout. That's one of the largest payouts we see in any women's tournament period, regardless. I mean,
It's crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Mike and Ben really put a lot into that. It's just cool to see, and I really hope it grows. We definitely want to come back next year. So
I do too, and I'll liken it a little bit right away to my experience, or should I say, also Schwebe's experience in Alaska. It's this great facility. They put up a ton of money. They're willing to put more into it, and they just want people to come up and participate in it. And
Yeah.
Obviously, same thing. They're kind of off the beaten path by quite a bit,
Yeah.
but there's money to be won up there, and until someone comes up and challenges Schwebe, he's just gonna go to that little honey
taking
hole, every single year and keep taking it at this rate. So,
Yeah.
but again, it sounds like an awesome event and beautiful land and facility and everything else. Does Eagle have any input, whether directly from him or through you guys, that he could recap the weekend with, or did recap?
I'm sure he enjoyed it. Money's nice, and the trip was certainly worth it.
He did buy dinner, right? After he won.
Of course, winner buys dinner.
Winner buy dinner.
Okay.
It was
It was
dinner.
dinner.
But-
Yeah, it was dinner.
What Eagles' only comments about the courses where there was a couple basket placements that were a little bit weird. They were under tree limbs and things like that, just
really
to be
hidden.
yeah.
Hard to
so
get to.
Okay.
that was his only qualms. It was mainly on the shorter course, but he definitely enjoyed the long course. I got to see the kid throw some of the longest shots I've ever seen thrown, and it was great to see because especially there's a hole 8 on the long course, short. Hole 8 on the short course is it plays to the waterfall, very picturesque, and it's probably all of 600 feet. And he put it 20 feet away and banged his putt on a Marksman basket from 20 feet to get the eagle tube.
There's OB and there's trouble to find. So.
It was impressive.
Yeah.
Yuli and I were talking as he threw it, and we were like, "Oh my God, go in!" It was
600-foot ace.
It was cool to see even Yuli surprised, as he's played with Simon, he's played with Paul, Ricky, all the big arms, and he has a big arm himself. To see him even be wowed by Eagle.
So all aces, I don't care if it's 120 feet or 1,120 feet, all aces are neat and fun and swell to get.
Yeah.
What distance is it?
Okay, Wisconsin.
Is there any? I know. Is there any distance where it seems exceptional to ace on a Marksman basket? Is that 200 feet? Is that 400 feet? Is there? At what point is it a little more special? Anything okay.
Going in on a Marksman is
small.
Incredible.
Yeah. Okay.
I would love to see our sport go that way, because how often have we had tournaments where, oh cool, there's an ace pot, 8 people hit it, like in one weekend, 8 aces.
Sure.
That's too high to me, when it needs to be something that's a little bit more exceptional and should be rewarded higher for doing. So I think if we go Marksman's, it'll help, and it'll make an ace really, really worth it.
Okay. Well, as Johnny V said, people are heading west. You guys have, started, well, not started, but when I parted ways with you guys, we were about as far east as we really could be out there in Vermont, Maine, that general area. And you guys have just been shifting across the country. There's even a map online of it. Not that I'm stalking you, but so talk about what you guys are doing as you're rolling across the country.
Mostly clinics and setting up and vending. Really in any city that wants us to be there, that we think would be beneficial, or where we know people, stuff like that. It's a little bit of giving back and also making our means on the road. Ever since I've picked up Eric, we both wanted to teach and do free clinics. So that's kind of where it started, and it turned into a full-fledged tour since we're still on the road, still playing tournament to tournament. There's plenty of places to stop in between there. So we've done
a handful now, maybe a little 5 or 6, maybe more. I don't know.
Maybe more than that.
Okay. We already have a couple planned out when we're going down to the A tiers in Texas, in Veterans Park Open in Piney Woods. So we're planning a handful of events while we're down there to give back, as Tina said. It's
and that's
cool.
Kind of Eric's community, other than Salt Lake, which is where we are now. He's a Texas boy, so that's where he learned frisbees.
Homies. Yeah, I got some homies, and we're gonna make some cool things happen. So it's as easy as it comes. It's a great way for us to give back to the disc golf community, because we love the sport a ton, and we see that other people do as well. So why not spark maybe somebody to become even more involved in the game by giving something away?
Well, and it sounds like not only do you guys love the disc golf community, it sounds like they love you back. I was going to say, explain what happened with the RV. It looked like you got there were some issues with your traveling vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, just after Twin Falls, we got back to Salt Lake City, and there was green goo underneath, which is coolant, and my whole radiator was like splitting open, so I had to get that replaced today. It's like
it was more on like 600. I was going to say like 50.
Yeah, no. And
it's not the worst, but for traveling pocket, it's
traveling golfers. Yeah, that's a lot.
Definitely a big.
That's a lot of whale sacks to sell.
I was gonna say, are you gonna have a special whale sack sale?
I thought about it.
The radiator
special.
The radiator special.
Dip them in coolant before you send them up. People will love it. Be like a little special touch. Now, explain to everyone, as you guys are traveling, explain what it typically means when you do come to town. what you do, what you're hoping the host club or the organizer, the local on-site organizer, kind of explain how that goes for you guys and what you're looking for and what people can expect.
Well, if you're really curious about specifics, I do a separate clinic for the ladies, so
Okay.
I guess that's part of it. If there is a single lady or 5 or 10, I'll take them separately, do a one-on-one or, whatever. I love teaching, so that's really fun. And then Bobby Brown came to Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
We did one for Launchpad, and he filmed Eric's clinic. So there's videos out there if you want to see, really what Eric gets into.
Yeah, go check out Dynamic Discs on YouTube. They're all on there. It's pretty cool.
And then there's usually some kind of doubles or pickup doubles that's associated with it, or is that time dependent, or how does that go?
Definitely time dependent. We try and set something up if we can, but most of the time it's just a question and answer clinic is what I like to do. So I run through talking about backhand, sidearms, putting in the mental game, and then I open my clinics up to question and answers, and sometimes that can lead to 30 minutes of questions or 15 minutes. And then after that, I like to work with people a little bit one-on-one if they are a little too shy to open up and ask a question. So we try to set up something if we're going to be there on the weekend.
We've done doubles maybe 2 or 3 times. And then I think for Halloween, we're going to try to do a doubles derby format. But it's just, the one in Idaho was at a players party. So it's just whoever's there and wants to learn, let's do that. Mm-hmm. And then we always set up the whale sax booth. We've got boom stuff and hand-eye stuff.
So to really get to your question, it's a clinic, and we play it by ear on what we can and can't do. I like to go to different league nights to say, hey, we're going to come to your league night. We're going to offer a free clinic if we can set up and hopefully sell some merch and just add to the value of what they have going on there. And then the league night follows, which is, most league organizers are behind, which makes it really fun, and it helps draw and make a cool impact. So. And
I'm guessing you guys are playing it logical and thinking about heading a little more south where it stays a little warmer, moving into the...
Yeah, after Texas, we're going to go back to Arizona, probably Tucson, Phoenix area for a while. I work for a women's disc golf charity. Mm-hmm. Well, volunteer. Women's Disc Golf Outreach. If you haven't checked it out, do that. So I'm going to go down there, and I've got another house to sell. I've got another trailer that I need to get rid of.
All these houses that need to...
My vacation home.
Hashtag disc golf rich. Is that the terminology we use?
I think you can leave disc golf
on. I used
on
to be a banker. That's the only reason I have things.
Yeah, but I don't think that means you repossess things and you own all these additional properties. I'm not sure that's...
if you're a good banker.
Yeah, I guess.
I was a good banker. Thank you.
See?
Okay. Yeah. All right. Dare I ask, here it is, almost November. What's 2017 look like? Are we thinking that far ahead yet?
Yeah. Right now we're planning more of the same.
Okay.
WhalePants Tour 2017, I suppose.
Yeah, we want to be on the road as much as possible. Obviously making it feasible, so some places might happen, some places might not. We'll probably focus around the bigger tournaments, the better tournaments always, but the bigger tournaments where hopefully we can work with even tournament directors and local clubs to help push what we're doing, add value to what we got going on. We're always open to suggestions, ideas, and everything to making the tours work.
Okay.
Because hard work works, and we want to be on the road, and we want to be working and give back. So
I think we've mostly committed to the pro tour. The events on that. Mm-hmm. I think we both are yep, for sure, we'll make those happen. And then from there, we'll see. We're actually gonna try to get to Europe, but we'll see if that happens.
Well, stay tuned. Later, I'll be talking about someone who won themselves a little trip to Europe for next year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks to they're the good guys and gals over at Latitude 64, but that's a little more for later. Tina, on the board, a couple people have asked, and I'm curious because I'm trying to find myself a way down there to help cover it. Phoenix Ladies Open, or are you going to be still at the Piney Woods? I think it's that
the
same
weekend as Piney Woods. I was trying to figure out a way to just leave Eric in Texas, but
Yeah, I think a lot of women have said that actually.
He actually asked me if I could just fly there myself and leave him at my house. Which I don't think that's gonna work.
I would have paid for the gas back. Yeah.
It's on my radar for sure. Bill with the charities running it, and it was a blast last year. Zoe was there and everybody. I just Piney Woods was on my radar last year too, and just the timing of it just doesn't really work. And we've got clinics set up already for right after, so it's just I don't think it's gonna work this year. It's just poopy. I want to be there. But.
As a guy who's tried to be in 2 places at once, it doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't usually.
You
work.
get it.
Yeah, I know.
It sucks. I hate having to choose.
And I had a great conversation with Steve Story a few weeks ago, and Piney Woods sounds like it's going to be an amazing event. I know they've got at least 10K added, and they're doing all these great things. And I think sometime in the future you're going to probably see a little bit more exposure and maybe even some coverage of that. That was a conversation we briefly had, and so that's why I knew it was the same weekend. And I've also been very interested in finding out more about Phoenix because I think that event needs some exposure as well. So
yeah, agreed. Be good. So.
And Eric, some of the news broke earlier this year. You've transitioned in 1 or 2 of your roles. Obviously, you've kind of started a new role here in what you're doing. New sponsorship. Congratulations! And anything on the horizon that we should be aware of that's going out there in the Latitude DD Trilogy world that we should know about?
As far as the disc goes, I got to test out the new Sheriff and Criminal. Mostly I put time into the Criminal. It's very good, very overstable.
Okay.
Which is a utility disc for anybody. It'll be great. But as far as everything goes, I mean, just continue to expect those companies to keep pushing smart and elevating their products to meet the needs of all of us. So it's pretty rad.
They've been really great with him. It's really fun to see all the stuff they want to support, and they're all about Eric Oakley. So. And so am I. So.
Aww, we all are. So Eric,
to have the support I do.
Stepping into the DD line of discs, what stood out to you immediately? I mean, you've been on there for a couple 2 months now.
Something like that since Worlds. So
yeah. So about that. So what to you?
Going to stuff since Worlds, but not on the team. So
what disc really jumped out to you immediately for the DD lineup?
The Felon was incredible because it was like old Firebirds, and I hadn't been throwing a Firebird for quite some time. The Enforcer was really good, very similar to the PD2s that I was throwing, and I think you can get a little more flight out of the Enforcer. They're just a little bit on the less overstable side of things, which is great for, when you go like Simon Eagle helps. And then, strangely, I'll say mid, the Claymore and the EMAC Truth are awesome, my favorites. But putters were where I thought I was going to, I was set in on like the Shield or the Marshall or something that was overstable, very similar to the P2 that I had used for a long time, but I ended up landing with the Hard Wardens, and I have never putted better in my entire life. They definitely hit exactly the style of putting that I have with a good spin putt, slight nose up, and they go. So I was very shocked that was the putter I was going to land on. So, but yeah, right. Those are the basics, and I'm still excited to try out some new molds here and there. But bag's pretty set, and I think it'll be that way for a while because once you have it, just keep playing with it, and it's going to get better.
And then moving into next year, as asked on the board, I don't know if it's a stalk or not. Noah Stringer says, "Is anyone going to tour with Eric in the RV? Is that built for 2 or 3 or 10 in there? I mean,
the RV's mine.
Yeah, correct.
It's my house.
No, I know. But I'm just. What's the plan?
You
there?
can't move in, Tara.
I'm touring with Tina.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
That's why it's whale pants. And
Yes,
Yeah,
whale
it's-
comes first.
That's
Yes,
right.
it does. And I
Other
have
sacks
to.
just seems weird.
It didn't work out.
Yeah, sack pants. We don't want sack pants.
No, nobody wants sack pants. And I have to again thank you guys for the ride. You provided more than half of our Smashbox crew a ride from Smuggler's Notch down to the airport all of a month ago now. It seems crazy, but thank you guys as we got the abbreviated tour of Tina's home on wheels. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys very much for that. We appreciate it.
It hasn't changed a whole lot since then. Just a new radiator,
Well, I think those are important.
fresh oil. I think that's about it.
That's kind of important.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to add before we let you go here tonight?
Check out the Facebook page, WhalePants. That's where we're going to be posting a lot. It's
Yeah.
great for you to get in contact with us on there about if you want us to come to your neck of the woods to put on an event.
We'll
Maybe
post
come to your
events too,
tournaments.
so if you wanna,
Holler at
tell
us.
us you're gonna be there and whatnot.
Okay.
Definitely don't be afraid to reach out to us. We will get back to you as soon as we can, and we want to continue to just grow the
present.
sport and be present, be relevant, and make awesome things happen. So
Yeah,
let us know.
Definitely a great deal. 2 for 1. You get both sides. You get the men and the women. So you can't ask for a better group to come.
All wrapped up in a single RV. I don't know.
Little bow on top.
What a package.
It's
And
nice being a duo. It's cool to offer that kind of thing. I've always wanted to.
Johnny, don't try and kiss me.
I'm not gonna.
Yes, you are.
Nope.
And as we've talked about on the show, Tina has also specifically been very gracious in helping out with everything she's doing with her whale sacks. And if somebody wants to order some for their tournament, just as I did earlier in this year, she can make those up for you, all homemade by Tina herself, handmade, and she'll get them shipped out to you. So, oh, I'm sorry.
My grandma helps. Too.
Oh, your grandma. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
busy, which is good.
what's
But now good. So every weekend I'd love to do custom stuff. It's really fun. So.
okay? Well, we can reach out. All right. We're chopping up on you, so I think we're good. I think we got everything. We appreciate your time as always from the both of you, and travel safely. And hopefully, we'll see you somewhere warm in the next few months somewhere.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I'm down to Arizona.
Thanks, Johnny.
all right.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thanks, guys.
You guys
All
are
right.
awesome.
Have a great
Thanks,
night, guys.
guys.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
Yep. And there again, the dynamic duo of Tina Stanaitis and Eric Oakley, who are they're hustling around the country, and it's so great to see. We see a lot of people, whether it's in an RV or in some other means, get themselves around the country doing all these things, going from event to event. But when you can add in a little bit more flavor and passion by running a doubles or running the clinics or things that make their experience a little bit more unique, but also for all of the fans and all of the people around the country to welcome them in. A couple of great people. I actually shared arrangements in Arizona at the beginning of the year with Tina, and that's where I got to know her quite a bit more as she was making some whale sacks as we're sitting there watching some football games. And she's definitely passionate, and we know Eric is as well. So great to see them out there, and good luck to them both, of course. Yeah, and if you do need whale sacks, again, reach out to Tina, and she can, whether it's a handful of them or one for every person in your player pack, as I did, she can certainly get them to you. So we have been contacted by none other than Ace Man himself, Paul Ulibarri. Has he confirmed whether or not he's got a solid enough internet connection here for the evening? Do we know if we're going to be checking in with him?
He did say he wants to check in.
Okay.
He said for us to stall just a little bit while he does his hair. I think that's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Since it usually is a topic of conversation.
I figured.
I'm going to go on record.
No, stop. No, you don't get to talk about his hair anymore.
I'm gonna. Because it doesn't need to be talked about, I guess is my point.
Yeah, stop. Everybody. Just you and everybody.
You don't need to mention it.
I know.
Like
Neither do you.
the second... I feel like I need to mention that other people need to stop mentioning it.
Yeah, as you've done for like 4 or 5 times now. Like
So
I'm
then
sick
I
of hearing
need-
you complain about other people.
Okay, perfect. Makes sense. Anyway,
Uh,
let me check in on that Cubs score, which I think
3-0
is still
still.
3-2.
3-0, bottom of the 7th. Last time I looked. So get this. So I was listening to one of my podcasts.
I don't want to hear anything. Go ahead.
And It's a podcast called Jury. It's by a guy named Justin Robert Young, JRY, Jury. And it's like kind of like a one mic show where he just tells stories and jokes and whatever. And he does a little Q&A email at the end, and some guy sends in an email, blah, blah, blah. And he says, hey, I really appreciate it, if you for a shout out or give me an answer. My day job kind of sucks. I just sit around stamping Frisbees all day. My name's Sean. And I didn't know. I was thinking like, and because I was listening to it today at work, and it literally floored me. I was like, what? I had to rewind it. I'm like, Sean, stamping Frisbees. I'm like, is he literally stamping Frisbees, or is he stamping golf discs? Like, does he work for Whammo? Does he work for one of our disc golf companies? And maybe he just used the term Frisbee because he's sending it to a podcast that maybe has no clue what a disc is. So I kind of thought that was funny because it's a podcast I've been a fan of for years and years.
So I'm sorry, I wasn't listening to you.
I know.
Did you say he said that or his guest? I guess
it was just an email that someone sent in. An email. So he was reading an email to his show. Went off and said, "Oh, thanks, my name is Sean. Your podcast helps get me through the day. I just sit and stamp Frisbees all day." And I'm like, huh. I'm trying to think if there was anybody that.
Did he say if it's SEAN or if it's S?
He did not say.
I'm kidding. That wouldn't help me really.
No, so.
But that is interesting, and like you said, he could work at a general marketing company that literally has like a hot stamper. I guess a lot of those are probably screen printed in some way now.
I doubt it's a hot stamper. It could be, like I said, it could be anything. So yeah, and someone said, you're right, I am going to get someone fired. So
that's a good way to look at it.
But so I thought that was kind of funny.
I'll say this: if you're listening to a podcast, and I've worked numerous stamp machines, my friends over at Legacy have let me, the guys at Innova have let me. There's usually enough mental capacity to listen to a podcast and stamp a machine.
Sure.
They make you push both hands on the machine so you can't accidentally put one hand inside of that.
Can't accidentally stamp a hand.
Yeah, you couldn't do that. So I would hope somebody would have enough leeway to be able to listen to a podcast.
And that's what he said he does. He listens to the podcasts all day while he stamps.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, so I thought that was kind of humorous. Just
out
of nowhere today.
Because I was going to say, if it was in fact this Justin Robert Young, if it was himself during like a day job or something.
No,
he's a
full-time podcaster. He actually does the Night Attack show that's going on right now that I used to watch before we started our podcast now, which I have to wait to catch on an actual podcast. So fun stuff.
We had a few remarks last week. Someone said our podcast run too long, and then immediately following, someone said, no, they're not long enough. So sounds like things are going
splendidly since day one.
Yes. And of course, it's someone, I will admit, someone I met someone in the last few days didn't have any idea that you could, in fact, listen to us on a podcast app. They thought it was specifically to YouTube, which is where you see most of our live stuff take place. And for a little refresher, Johnny, where can they find us?
If you would like to just listen to the podcast and not check out mine and Terry's beautiful face and hairdos, you can find us at most podcasting applications, such as Stitcher. I need to double check Stitcher. Somebody said they couldn't find us a couple weeks ago, but iTunes, Google Play. You can listen to us right on our website, smashbox.tv. So, and if you get the inkling and you like what you hear, just give us like a 5-star rating on whatever podcasts you listen to us on, whatever app you listen to. Usually those go to help discoverability, maybe boost us up in whatever crazy algorithms that they have. So if you get the chance, go ahead and do that. I think I want to run a contest at some point this winter of having people go out and like write a review or give a bunch of stars or something, and maybe go through those or something later.
They can only be good reviews. That will definitely be part of it.
I don't
care.
care.
I think it has to be.
I don't care. So
I don't trust what they're going to say about us.
Yeah, well, and I'd like to thank everyone because I did go out and look, and we have like 25. We're like a 4.5-star rated podcast out of 5, not out of 10.
Wow, even better.
Yeah. So thanks to all the people that have gone out there and given us a good review.
Yeah, and as Johnny was saying, though, even more so than inflating our egos, it's really more about when typing in disc golf or disc golf podcast or anything of that nature, it just helps with people being able to see us and know that it even exists whatsoever. So those reviews are critical and ratings.
Save
and all that
your
stuff.
video data. Save the data on your phone and download the podcast.
Yes, that's another way to do it. Somebody else, shout out to Ray Woodruff and Matt James this weekend. I spent a lot of time with them Saturday night after the Saturday's event had taken place. And I showed them the 1.5 speed and the 2 speed that you can watch us. So just like on a lot of podcasting apps, you can listen in a faster speed, 1.3, 1.5, 2.0, whatever
Pocket
that
Cast,
speed is. Yeah,
the best.
You can speed up and listen to us much quicker. Same thing can happen on YouTube. If you're watching us later, you can't do this live.
1.25, 1.5, and 2, I think are the
exactly.
speeds they
So
offer.
you could actually get through it that much quicker as well if you're insisting on playing.
So
it that way.
if you're watching us right now recorded, you can look. Yeah, it's like right about there.
It's the little gear.
Yeah, there's a gear right about here, and you can click on that, and there'll be an option that says speed.
Yeah, you click on it, drop down, and then and you could watch us in slow motion. I'm not sure that would be a good idea.
If you want to get through your entire day with us, if you
Not
don't think
such a
there's
good
enough
idea.
of us, so.
So I would like to, and I just mentioned it, them again a moment ago. I spent some time Saturday night with Ray Woodruff, as well as Matt James, both amazing individuals in the Colorado disc golf community. Ray was the partner in crime, along with Doug Bjerkes, for putting on the Rocky Mountain Women's Tournament. And he expressed that he's excited about next year's tournament. They do it every other year on opposing years to the Women's Global event. And like a lot of really serious and intense disc golf communities, he's looking at a schedule saying, it's hard to pick the right date. It's hard to pick any date. He talks about Colorado and how a lot of their events, they can open up registration, and sometimes within minutes, 100 or more or 200 spots can be sold out. Like, registration goes that quickly. They were just featured. The Mile High Disc Golf Club was featured in one of the recent Disc Golfer magazines. I think he said they have over 600 active club members, and it's genuinely, it's a rat race to try and get into tournaments because some of them sell out. Most of them sell out within a day. Some of them sell out within hours.
Yeah.
And there's a tournament almost every single weekend. So
You'd think almost that it would be fair to rotate if there's that, like, hey, guess what? If
you get to play this month, you don't get to play that.
Yeah, like if you got the entry fee, or if you got into the event last month, now you get put on like the secondary tier, where if it doesn't fill up, then you get the chance to go in and play. So,
well, it is. It's an amazing scene, and Matt's done some great work in terms of video, and I think we're going to see more work out of him next year in various capacities. And Ray, I know you've got a tall task ahead of you of trying to get your event locked in, and then it's a delicate mix of trying to get some top women players, but also with so many tournaments going on. One of the unique things that they do is they have a male caddy for every single
female player.
But then if he's running up against another big tournament on a given weekend, it's one thing that he's running a women's only tournament, but then all of those men who are typically caddies are off then playing in another event. So
sure,
that's where, one of his challenges, and it's a pretty crazy problem to have, that there's just so many tournaments and yet it's hard to pick weekends. But Colorado disc golf scene is a pretty serious place.
So what were you doing out in Colorado? Why don't you explain to people?
Just goofing off.
Cool.
Like you. I was hanging out in the airport with the best internet upload and download ever. So thanks to...
Oh, I didn't think that's why you vacation in Colorado, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's I go there. They've got high-speed internet.
Ah, nice use of words.
All right. So thanks to Dave Felberg and Latitude 64, they had contracted me to come out and film the final round of the Next Generation Tour finale. And some of you may remember, back in January, I went out to Maricopa, Arizona, which is a southwestern suburb of Phoenix area, and that's where the Next Generation Tour kicked off. And then throughout the course of the year, they had 12 disc golf tournaments that were focused primarily on amateurs, and they took place, and they had the likes of Tim Skellinger, Johnny McRae, I think H.B. Clark, and Dave Felberg were, I think, the 4 or 5 tournament directors for these 12 tournaments. And then they had it was a point series. And in the advanced men division, depending on how you did, you earned these various points. And at one point, I believe Colt was his name, He had won 3 out of the 4 events he went to.
Wow.
Just dominating. I think it was 3 out of 4. Maybe he won his first 2, then didn't win the third, but then won his 4th one he went to. And he came in with a legitimate points lead coming into this weekend. I mean, he had to show up and not die or something. Like he had to just show up. And he played really well in the doubles on Friday that they took place in. I know he cashed somewhere in the doubles, and then his game died. And it didn't come back. There were no paddles.
No.
There was no none of that, and it was a little bit heartbreaking. I'll admit I was a little removed from the story till I showed up. And
did you bring his game?
No, I didn't bring his game on the plane either, unfortunately. And this gentleman who won 3 out of 4 stops.
Because you think someone, he won 3 out of 4. Like, that guy's probably a bagger, especially if he's dominating. But that's the difference between a really good advanced player and a not so good to a mediocre pro, is that consistency that those pros don't fall off the world. They might have a bad round, but they don't fall off the planet.
Well, I felt bad in that I showed up, and that's when I had heard of this story, because I didn't know the points race going into it. And so it was 2 rounds of 18 on Saturday, and then a final round of 27 on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And after Saturday's 36 holes with 27 to play, he was way near the bottom of the field. Oof.
Sure, he appreciates
way
you.
down. I know, and I'm not picking on him, but unfortunately, it was definitely part of this story. And spoiler alert: if you don't want to know how it all pans out, you should tune out for the next 2 minutes. What ended up happening is someone who was playing very well in Jake Peters. He was playing relatively well. He was on the leader card. He had attended, I think, a handful or a number of the stops, and he even said, he's like, I just showed up. He said, I think this other guy had it in the bag. I just assumed he did. He's won 3 out of 4 stops, and I'm just here as a formality. I want to close out the season and attend this final stop and everything else, but I assumed he had it all locked up, and Jake Peters played well. When it was all said and done, I think he finished in 3rd for the tournament, but literally by a stroke or a point or a throw, however you want to look at it, all of those things are true. He ended up edging out everyone else. And the gentleman that finished 3rd, Jake Peters, ultimately went on to win the grand prize for the Latitude Next Generation Tour, which comes with free airfare to an event in Europe next year, along with the entry fee paid for it.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Considering a flight to
Europe. You
Europe.
and I have never won anything that big.
Bull, you did. You won a flight to Japan.
I did. I guess that was.
Don't give me that crap.
That
you had to buy a lot of discs to get that.
That was a pure lottery, system.
Correct.
There was no skill involved.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
so correct, because a flight to Europe is probably $1,500.
15, 16, 18,
depending
2000,
on whatever, and then the entry fee is probably another $100 to $150.
$200 or more if it's a huge event.
Yeah, if he's going to pick one of the big ones. So congratulations. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to also go ahead and say that Brian Geis won the actual event. Shot really well out of Laramie, Wyoming. He shot very well and ended up taking it down. He had a commanding lead after the first day and then played really well during the second day. And so congratulations to him. You're going to see all the video unfold in the next few days. So if you weren't looking for the results, like I said, you should have stepped away for a minute. So that's what took place. And at some point, we'll probably have Dave and or one or two of these other people join us and give us a little quick update. But it was great. It was great to see. We were out at John Bird's course, which is Bird's Nest in Arvada, Colorado. Beautiful mountain landscapes behind, and the course didn't have as many trees as I guess I anticipated. I'm a little naive to my Colorado topography. When I think Colorado, I think snow,
mountains, and trees.
Yeah, and this particular course didn't have any 3 of those. There was some small hills. There was no snow, which they said is good.
Yeah.
Because in October they're like, it could be 12 degrees right now, and we could have 2 feet of snow,
or it could be 70,
or it was it was 75. So. We were blessed with that, but not as many trees as I anticipated. But 27 holes out there, and everybody had a really good time. And I've just got to say, I feel like at least at the opening event and the closing event, I'm going to assume most of them in between, Latitude 64 spoiled the heck out of these amateurs.
Good.
They
They need a few events like that.
And they got a whole tour of them. So it was really solid and great to be out there. Great to see it all unfold the way I did, and excited to get all the coverage up so everybody can take it all in. So that's what we saw out in Colorado this last weekend. I have to thank Dave Weisblum over at Night Eyes. Super good friend. He left his car at the airport for me and then left his keys to his house for me and said, here you go. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't there.
Not bad.
So that worked out really well.
I hope you short-sheeted his bed or something.
Oh, yeah, of course. And then, like I had already mentioned, Matt and Ray, you guys are great, and I appreciate it. We know you guys are huge Smashbox supporters and supporters of what we're doing and what I'm doing, and I just want to say sincerely thank you guys for all of that. And then I met a fan, I guess I'd call Sid, in the airport. I had walked by yesterday. I got to the airport relatively early. I was intentionally gonna edit all day long from the airport, and a gentleman was kind of staring at me a little bit as I walked by. I'm like, well, that's nothing new. I need to lose a few pounds. And he walks, and then I walk by another way, and I finally grab a seat near an outlet, and a few minutes later, he sits down kind of near me, and he's like, are you the disc golf guy? You are, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he says, I just want to say thank you. I watch a ton of the stuff online.
Awesome.
And watch what you guys do, and we really appreciate it. And or I really appreciate it. And says he's only been a 3-year player of the game. He's a little bit older. I guess he's 50 or older. And said he's a 3-year player of the game. He had a 5 handicap in golf, and then just quit playing. Him and his sons quit playing golf because it was so much quicker and cheaper and more fun to play disc golf. So I thought that was pretty cool, and so he consumes a lot of our footage and things that are out there. So thank you to Sid. It was a pleasure meeting you. So
that's always cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. I've sometimes when you get recognized in the airport, it can be for the right or wrong reasons, but very cool to meet someone that enjoys our work. So.
Yeah, so Yuli says it might be a little while, so we're going to talk about some other things, and if we can get him on, we can. Maybe we'll get him on for an after show. Maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll see.
Whatevs.
But let's quick talk about, because you just talked about the Latitude 64 event. Let's talk about another event that went on this past weekend. We're going to talk about the Shelley Sharp Memorial presented by spinnersonthegreen.com. This tournament director was Keith Murray. This was out in Scottsdale. I know Yuli talked about this last week about picking some players who he thought might finish well, and finishing in first place at the event, winning by only 1 stroke, Andrew Bohm.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a 995 rated player, shot 18 under par, took home a $1,200 prize. Very nice. Beating Clayton Adams, 965 rated player, only beat him by 1 stroke, shot a 17 under par, took home $750, followed up by lefty Max Nichols and Cameron Messerschmidt. So Anthony Barella took 4th as well. I would have picked Barella to finish 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he was registered last week when we were talking about it. Pete Ulibarri, who we also talked about, ended up finishing 7th in the cash, so that's always good. Open women, Trina Ledig, 832 rated, shot a 35 over par, $225. Followed up by Azriel Rogers at 39 over par for $125. So congratulations to all the people who cashed and took home prizes for that particular event. It's you can never go wrong at any of those courses. They're so nice and warm as opposed to what we have right now.
Yeah, well, interesting story too about that finish. As you said, Andrew won it. Max Nichols had made a post earlier, and he stated that he didn't have the best of days, and he was struggling. He was on the second card, and he said he got up to hole 18. I think he was saying he was playing relatively well then, but he had gotten up to hole 18, and there was...
So, assumingly he has 18 and 1 to go.
No, he just had... I don't know if it was 18th hole or hole 18, one or two, but either way, he was setting it up and saying it was his last hole, I guess I'll put it that way, which I believe was... because it might have been tee times. And he said, well, I'm going to go for this. I want to birdie it. And he's like, I don't think it's going to matter much, no matter what, because I was so far behind and not, I didn't perform that well. But I should just read it directly. But anyway, he then said he went for it, came up just short, went OB, and ultimately carded a 5. as the scores were tabulated, if you take a little look-see at that again, had he taken the 2 versus the 5,
that'd have been a 3-stroke swing. He would have tied for first place.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ouch.
So it's just kind of interesting. I mean, it's all in.
I mean,
you don't necessarily know that. He didn't know that, and you can. That's why you play. Something I say to you all the time. That's why you play them all.
Yep.
Even if it's that one bad blow-up hole, that's the difference between a world championship and
exactly
and runner-up. But in this case, someone who was thinking, well, I didn't really, it's not going to matter, or I'm going to play it out strong. Mm-hmm. He wasn't giving up by any means, but he didn't think it would. He was really had a chance.
I mean, he attacked a hole in order to shoot better, and I can't say backfired on him.
No,
but he didn't get the 2. Even had he gotten a 3, he would have been tied for second.
Correct.
So he would have jumped up one spot. He needed to birdie that. So he went into the hole thinking trying to make the right move. It just didn't. He couldn't execute.
Yeah, he said he had a pretty solid front 9, and then got hot on the back. He was 9 down going into hole 18. I knew even with another birdie, I would still probably come up just short. But at that point, I felt I had to take the risk, so on and so forth. And then, again, he ended up taking the 5. So woulda, coulda, shoulda, and heartbreaking, of course. And he says this is something that drives him and something you won't forget about. But it's interesting. And the takeaway for me always is, and I've done this plenty of times playing myself, never assume anything's done. Play out every last putt, no matter how much you want to give up, no matter how poorly you're shooting.
Yeah.
You may have been in second place going into the second round. You think you just shot yourself out of the cash, but then you find out, well, you did, but you actually goofed off your last 2 holes because you were just flailing around and you didn't really care. Had you cared, you could have saved yourself a stroke or 2 and at least taken home something or whatever. Those are the type of situations that come back to haunt you. So play them all out and play them hard.
A couple notes on the board. Apparently, it did come down to the last hole. So Bomey won on the last hole. Trina is Anthony Brella's mom, which I didn't realize.
Yes, I was going to say it, but
I didn't know.
I know. It's not listed.
Yeah, it's not listed
to make you think that unless you know them.
Exactly, I know. Exactly. So congratulations to them. And then also Chris Cobb says, yes, 18 is a tough hole for a lefty. That you are throwing over the water on that hole at Vista. So that's a much, and depending on where the pin placement is, that could be even more difficult to come in.
Because they were in fact playing and somebody could correct me if they weren't, but I believe they were playing the Memorial layout, the Vista layout. XL layout as it's called.
Okay, so that's
meaning you have to bag a Discraft XL during that round.
I'd be awesome. I'd be totally fine with that.
Which the usual placement, Chris says.
Yep. So where we're normally used to seeing it, about 10 feet off the water, relatively deep, 380, I think, something like that.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, so. 380, 375, 370, something like that. Yeah.
Which I always like that hole personally because that's about usually where I can max out. So I throw it as hard as I can with a hyzer, and I'm usually about 20 short. So sometimes I can skip up and get there. I've birdied it before during tournament play, but not very often. So I've also gone OB off to the right a couple times. So, but it's a great hole. So, all right. Oh, that's about that. That's all of our major events.
We didn't see anything else out there.
There really wasn't too much. Yeah, it was a one-day B tier, the Everyday Fall Open, sponsored by Latitude 64.
Okay.
Out of Inver Grove Heights, St. Paul, Minnesota. Winning that, Kayla Viska, shooting a 10 under.
Hold on, I'm
tying
shocked.
Danny Polk.
Yep,
shooting a 10 under. So they clearly won. He won in a playoff. Ben Kroll taking third with Louis Lamana, and Jordan Castro tying for fourth. JC. There didn't look like there's any women's division, but I'll bring up the Masters. Jared Pittman won that pretty handily. He won that by 14 strokes over Tony Lombardo. So congratulations to Kale taking down another Minnesota victory. He's probably got a couple hundred of those in his pocket.
Yeah, he's good at that.
So, yeah. Other than that, I don't have. There's really not too much else going on in the way of disc golf results. I was going to save the Spotsylvania one for when we had Yuli on, but I don't know if that guy.
What's been the update? I haven't been keeping up. We're trying to.
Oh, as far as what?
With Yuli, sorry.
With Yuli, he's just. He asked how much longer are we going, and I said, "Who knows? It's Smashbox." Could be an
until
hour.
the Cubs win. Damn it!
That might be a little tough. It's 2 outs with runners on first and second for the Indians. So, that one is in play, no out. That's going to be hard not to score a run on an in play ball with 2-0 and runners on first and second. So I'm going to see. I'm watching Game Day here because it's on upstairs on the TV, but I don't have it on down here. But we will. I'll get that update for you nice and quick here. I'm no Bob Uecker, that's for sure.
No, that you are not.
Much younger.
Or Harry Carey, for that matter.
I'm working on trying to become Harry Carey.
R.I.P. Harry Carey. Disc Golf Nerd asked if Dana has been fired from the show, because I think that is fair. It was probably overdue that he's fired now. Dana's just since it's been a few weeks now. I think sometime shortly after.
It was right after Nantucket. He kind of decided that he just wanted to take a little bit of break from. I think he ran an event this past weekend, I believe. He was this Broken Bridge or Swinging Bridge, something like that.
He ran the Swinging Bridge Open. Yeah, this weekend.
Yeah, I think it was this weekend.
It was.
No, he was not fired. He's just kind of taking a break from a lot of golf stuff in general. So I think other than running this event, he'll be back in a few weeks. I got no problem with that. After we gave him his timeout.
We got to keep that Dynamite in check, along with our one of our favorite trolls, John Cena, who is trolling not only tonight. So this is a classy guy. He made the first remark on my coverage for the Next Generation Tour, the video I put out yesterday. He had to attack me with, calling me overweight in, I guess, less polite terms. And then he comes onto our podcast to do it. This is a dedicated troll.
This is a dedicated troll.
I think we maybe we should have some kind of award for him. Classy fella, that's for sure.
Chris Cobb has blocked him, so thanks, Chris Cobb.
Jeez.
Appreciate it.
Anyway.
Yeah. What else? Anything else going on in the world of disc golf this weekend? It was kind of a quiet week. Not a heck of a lot. I think we're going to run into a lot of this where we don't have a lot of news coming up.
Some of the like I said, I had a great conversation with a couple of gentlemen on Saturday night, and just hearing of the Colorado scene, and every state's a little bit different, but hearing of the Colorado scene, seeing how competitive it is for tournaments, for the weekends that they're held, for getting into tournaments, it's crazy. And I said, we don't see a lot of coverage out of there. And then I thought, well, one of the reasons you have coverage at some tournaments anyway is to help expose an area. You know, we think of Nantucket, who wanted more exposure on the event. I think of Alaska, who wanted a little bit more exposure of the amenities and everything that they offer. Colorado doesn't apparently need the exposure because they're selling out instantly. There's not a participation problem there whatsoever. So it's kind of it's just interesting. And then you see, in Eagle McMahon, who obviously, when in state, it has to be one of your favorites, him along with Joe Revere. And so I wonder if some of the Colorado people feel like we did about Barry Schultz back in the day. Like, hey, Schultz, go get him on the national tour. We're going to hang out here in Wisconsin and let somebody else actually have a chance to win. So
yeah, but then Chris Herron came and started winning everything.
Chris Herron did. That's true.
One of the things I did listen to this past weekend was a podcast that Chris Herron was a guest on, and that's not it wasn't a disc golf podcast at all. It was actually a real estate podcast. For those of you that don't know, Chris Herron has, I think,
52, I think.
I think he's bought 52, but I think he sold some. So anyway, maybe it's 52 rental properties he's purchased in the past 3 years, where he's working on retiring next year from his job, so he can kind of do this. It was a really interesting podcast to listen to. I sat and gave it my full attention, and he's basically how I started with $10,000, which was kind of funny because he started with $10,000, but then he immediately needed like a $10,000 loan from his parents in order to get some things started because of the way some things went down, apparently. So really, it was $10,000 of his own money and then $10,000 of someone else's. So it was about $20,000.
I have like $25 of mine. Do you have $19,000 I can borrow?
No.
$19,000 and change. And for those who don't know, to bring this all full circle, Chris Herron is a sponsored member of Team Discraft, and has been one of the more dominating forces in Wisconsin. He's very much, though, taken an approach throughout the years of treating disc golf almost more like a business, maybe no surprise now, in that he goes for the economics. He doesn't necessarily go to challenge the best players in the world at the biggest events week in and week out. If there's an A tier a few hundred miles away with a lot of really good players, or there's a B or a C tier in Wisconsin, and he could maybe even sleep in his own bed that night and reduce all of his costs, he looked at it as a very economical decision, and you would usually find him kind of staying more local. And he's been rated 10-10, 10-12, 10-14, somewhere in that neighborhood. Now he's just below 1,000. But as you can see, he's also taken on a considerable amount of other priorities in buying and becoming a real estate mogul.
He did mention, I mean, he made, of course, at the end of the podcast, he talked about being a disc golfer, and they kind of chuckled and laughed at him a little bit, as a lot of people did, and he took it in good stride and actually mentioned how his goal, because he hasn't had a lot of chance, he basically said he repeated as the Wisconsin state champion just this past, like 2 weekends ago, I think it would be now, and his goal is to retire from his job, do all this real estate stuff, but then challenge for the Masters World Championship when he gets older, in like 3 or 4 years when he hits 40, because he says by then hopefully he won't have a full-time job. He'll be able to dedicate more time, like he was when he was younger, to practicing and getting back into the sport more heavily to be a Masters World Champion. That he says there's no way I can be a regular world champion anymore. There's not enough time, his age, the dedication it takes. He says, but he thinks he might be able to become a Masters World Champion.
Interesting. The question is, how many years away is he from that?
He's a couple years younger than us. I want to say he's 2 years younger than us. So I believe he can turn Masters in 4 years. Okay,
that sounds about right. I know he was a few years younger than us. Just 2 years younger than us, really. So interesting. You're getting old.
A 3-run homer for Cleveland. So it's 6-0.
Oh,
I'm gonna call this. It's tough, but I'm gonna call this one right now. Cleveland has a really good bullpen, which is why I say this.
Any other year, I'd say you're right, but
I know, and I'm not gonna tell you to give up hope, but I'm just saying right now, with Cleveland's bullpen, it's gonna be tough.
Yes, it is.
We are getting notification
from
here.
our bullpen.
From our bullpen, we're gonna bring in a closer.
Yeah, we are. Let's see if we can get him on the line here in a second. Oh, good. I see there's some more trolling taking place here.
Oh yeah, I blocked 1 or 2 people.
Can't even spell my name right, Carrie Snazza. Come on, get it together. Here's a little rule of thumb. This is a side note. The female version of Terry can be spelled 20 different ways.
Yeah.
The male version of Terry, in my lifetime, I've only seen it spelled one way.
Correct.
So that's your little tip for the day. If you're going to rip on me and call me overweight in naughty terms, at least spell my name right. Come on. Don't I deserve at least that?
You do. For some reason, we're having issues with sending our video, so Paul's not going to be able to see us, but everyone's going to be able to see Paul. So welcome to the show, our favorite closer, Paul Ulibarri. Paul?
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
I'm good.
What took you so long? Were you watching the baseball game?
I was.
Yeah.
Once you realize that it's pretty well over tonight, you can bring us on. Thanks.
Yeah, well, that was a sad way to come on, but I'm here.
So are you rooting? You're rooting for the Cubs, or are you rooting for?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Of course.
I root for the underdog.
The underdog, I think, technically would be the Indians, because if you look at the salaries, the Indians
just don't start.
The Indians are a smaller cap team.
Start.
I'm just saying, the Cubs are virtually. They're not quite the Yankees with buying all their players this year and last year. They're a great team. They've brought a lot of guys up from their farm system, but they've also gone out and made some really big purchases with their pitching and hitting. So
they're down 6-0 right now.
They are.
They're gonna be down one game, and you're saying they're not the underdogs?
I'm saying going into this, I think they were the underdogs. Now they're going to be clearly favored by a little bit, but a lot of people I'm hearing, we're talking Cubs in 6. So this would still fit with that. Cubs in 6, so
we'll take it.
I just call it as I see it. I don't care. I've got no skin in this game.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope you're right. But
I got no skin in this game, buddy. So
Yuli, and I'll also say I had a quick exchange with Ricky Wysocki today. I said something about, can you give me a few details? He had announced earlier something about a sponsorship program, and I didn't even see all the details yet. I was going to try and extract those from him. And he said, I'm going to be busy watching the game. I'm like, oh, that's right. I don't want to talk to you anyway.
Yeah, well,
You Cleveland watcher. You.
November 2nd, that's when Game 7 ends, assuming it goes that far. So you can talk to
Did
him.
you put in an application for the
Not yet, but
sponsorship?
rumor has it, our gentleman on Stanitas, Dana Vici, says he may be putting together. He needed some video footage. I don't know, but he wants to submit. So, do you know? No, we'll save that. We'll save that for another day, so Ricky can explain it all for us as to what that entails. But cool to see that Ricky's reaching out and trying to do some stuff. What do we have going on here for Yuli's picks? You trying to pull that up there, John?
I did pull it up actually because I took a look at it earlier today. It is Yuli making up some ground.
No.
Making up some ground.
No.
He did. He
No.
scored.
Yep.
He scored the most points this week. So last week we picked Hawks Hollow, Hawk Hollow Open. It's called Odds Number 10. It's out of Spotsylvania, Virginia, and we all kind of made our picks.
Yeah, I didn't even look.
And Yuli nailed 1 and 2.
What?
He picked Chris Dickerson to win, and
Yep.
Jeremy Colling to take second.
Wow.
So he got 6 points out of that hot garbage. Ugh. You were second with 4 points. You got, I believe it was 4th place, correct? You nailed Weston Isaacs
Okay.
in 4th place, and
Oh,
you
wow.
you had Chris Dickerson. I think you had him taking, I believe you had him taking 3rd, and he actually took 2nd. I got 2 points because I had Colling in the wrong spot, and I had Chris Dickerson in the wrong spot.
And are we going to recap how you guys wanted to, Yuli specifically wanted to sandbag information, and I stood on my moral ground here and didn't go back and change the picks?
I think that's good for you, considering a lot of times you want to try to keep it secret who isn't playing.
That's the whole point of doing this,
Then-
so I'm okay
You
with
know,
it.
if you were
But
to
we've
have
given
changed
him
your
plenty of
picks,
opportunities to
We
change.
have.
If you were to have changed your picks, you would have bumped Isaac out and put Jeremy, and you wouldn't have got any points.
He brings up a valid point. You probably would have dropped Isaac out. You would have probably put Colling 1st or 2nd.
You did a good move.
Maybe. Now, here's my question. What's harder to pick, 1st or 4th? Because if you think about it, statistically, it's probably harder to pick who finishes in 4th.
It is. I also think it's a lot more
Yeah,
random.
probably.
It's probably a
Yeah.
lot more random and lucky.
No. I'm statistically smarter.
Yeah, sure.
Chuck Kennedy, where are you? Are you listening?
So
Your
let's-
Indians won, Chuck, but are you listening?
Let's
Chuck,
recap the points. So Yuli made up some ground on me. He's only down by 2 points to me now. So it's 110 to 108, and the disc golf guy is sitting at 121. So you are 11 points ahead of me, but now you are only 13 points ahead of Yuli.
Yep.
So you were 15. Now you're only 13. A couple more weeks like this, and
By 2019, you guys will catch me.
hey, whatever it
Oh
takes.
my God, this guy.
Whatever it takes.
So, Yuli, let's as we kind of peruse for next week's picks, but let's talk real quickly. We had a great conversation with Tina and with Eric.
Okay.
Congrats, first of all, on your ace. Let's start there. Break down the ace and the reaction that we all saw.
Oh man, it was it was a tough day for me actually. I actually started off the day really well, and I got the first 2 holes. I was down 3 strokes, and I tied it up after 2. And then I was facing like a 20-footer on the next hole, and it was like an awkward lie, so I had to go to a straddle. And it was really cold. And I 4-putted on the green from like 20 feet. And so tapped in for 5, went to the next hole, and I wasn't really in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
And I aced, and then it was just, yeah, I mean, you saw the reaction. It was just what it is.
Yeah.
Tell us about the hole and the shot and break it down for those that have or haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a blind hole, 200 and I'm not sure, between 270 to 250 feet, I'm guessing.
Okay.
And OB all right side, kind of a little tree blocking where you want to really enter the green, and I really threw it just as good as I could have, I guess.
Yeah. And was that on
I mean, I was trying to make it, honestly. because I didn't want to putt anymore.
I think that was the Happy Gilmore approach at one point.
That's
yeah,
right.
just put it in the hole. It's so much easier. I should just do that every time, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, the putts I made the whole day were from the tee pad, and then on the first hole I threw in a sidearm from like 40 feet, and then other than that, it was just there was nothing else that went in the basket.
So you're incredibly competitive, and I think you're also a very level-headed individual. So removing that day's experience, or maybe some of your personal woes, would you like to see smaller baskets?
Smaller baskets, if they catch good, I mean, in the middle.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this last weekend I saw so many good putts that just didn't stay in, and they were hitting the pole and they were bouncing out. They were hitting center and they were bouncing out. They were, you almost had to miss in order to make sure to make it, if that makes any sense. Like, if you were low left, low right, you had a way better chance than just sticking it on the pole. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and as we discussed, these aren't.
It didn't matter to me because I putted so bad the whole weekend.
Okay. You got to hit chains in
I
basket.
had the same score on the small baskets that I did on the big baskets. So I putted actually better, I think, on the Marksmans than I did on the regular baskets.
Okay.
But I didn't like seeing that. I was very happy on the last hole that we didn't actually see a spit out, because I thought that's what was going to happen.
Sure.
Eagle made like a really good clutch putt on the last hole to tie it up, and I was just really glad that it didn't spit out, because I thought that might happen.
Okay. Now,
so if we went to smaller baskets, and Tina and Eric made the same comment, the smaller baskets need to be tweaked as to not allow those spits to hit those poles and come back. So it was so that this is more of an interesting experiment of all things. So
right. No, exactly. And in all reality, the Marksmans are a practice tool.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to play for really money on them.
Okay.
In my opinion, the baskets that we have, I feel like, in place for most of the tournaments that are, especially the newer ones, they're great and they work well, and I say stick with those. But the Marksmans were definitely. It was interesting for sure. I believe that I would have probably placed lower in the tournament if we would have played on the regular baskets the whole weekend.
Okay.
So it helped me.
So
because if you miss every single putt in the circle on every basket, it's the same. There's no difference. So I felt like I threw the disc really well, and that's really why I took third. I think first they tied for first 7 strokes ahead of me, and I was, I think, 5 or 6 ahead of
4.
Eric.
4. He clarified 4.
Okay.
Give him the 4. Now, that's what I was going to say is, some may think, oh, boo-hoo, Yuli had, a horrible putting weekend and he still finished third.
Right.
I mean, that means you were still throwing solid drives, solid approaches. You weren't getting it done necessarily close to the basket or on the green, but you must have still been performing relatively well outside of, not outside of the circle, outside of the putting green itself, besides the putting green.
No, absolutely. I mean, I felt like I had a chance to win the tournament all the way, to probably the back 9, honestly. Okay. I wasn't that far out of it the whole time. Even after I missed a bunch of putts, I was never more than really 4 to 5 out of the lead until the back 9.
Okay. So I'll give the disclaimer that anyone who's waiting for the footage, probably from Central Coast, I think, if you're waiting for it, you should tune out for the next minute or two. Yuli, can you break down? I'll give everyone a pause. Okay. Yuli, could you break down? There was a playoff. Nico and McMahon, as you said, he tied it up on the last hole. And then I saw some Facebook Live, but I wasn't able to actually consume it fully. Can you break down what we saw or heard from the playoff? Did you watch it? I assume you did. Or no this time?
What part?
The playoff. Where?
It's the whole playoff.
Yeah. How many holes did it go? How did it?
One hole. It was one hole.
Oh, it was just one.
They decided to play hole 18, which is really the toughest hole on the course, stroke and distance. So par 5 has to be over 1,000 feet or close to it.
Okay.
Skinny, narrow fairway, and funny enough, the first round, Nico went to the same hole, and he took an 11 the first round to start the tournament. He played the fairway it was marked, a clear marking of the fairway, and he played it to the wrong side of the fairway.
Oh,
He took an 11 and still tied for first.
He took an 11 and a 6 the first round and still ended up coming back. And I was actually very impressed with that. So they played that hole, so that'll kind of give you an idea of how hard the hole is if Nico's taking an 11.
And Will Jenkins, who was there, says it was 1,395 feet.
1,395 feet. There you go.
Eesh.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very difficult hole, and they both threw really good drives. They both threw. Eagle went a little more aggressive than Nico. Nico kind of was up first, and he threw just safe, and Eagle went aggressive to, I think, play for the birdie. And then Nico went to lay up, and he threw kind of a semi-aggressive hyzer and caught some trees, was out of bounds, then threw a roller, a really good roller, and tried to throw it in, missed, and Eagle pretty much had a pitch up win.
Okay, and then I think I did see at the very end of it, was there what was the humor in Nico throwing it into the side of the basket once or twice before he was tapping in? It looked like he was...
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no comment about that.
Oh, okay, so there's a story that I just haven't heard yet.
All right, so hopefully it'll be on the video. We'll see.
Okay.
Hope not, but
Well,
yeah.
what I'll say and what I'll share, because I saw it briefly again on the live feed. It looked like Nico was all of a foot or two away from presumably tapping out. He'd obviously, conceded the hole, so to speak, in that he wasn't catching Eagle. And then from like 2 feet away, he just threw it right into the side of the basket with like no intent on making it. And it looked like he did it once or twice or something. And then he finally tapped it in.
Well, first he tried to make it between his legs backwards, missed.
Oh,
Then put it in driver, missed, and then threw it into the tray on purpose, and then threw it in the tray on purpose. But it was all in fun.
Sure. Yeah.
It wasn't like
he was
being.
He wasn't being obstinate. So.
Okay. No. I just that's all I saw was the one of them into the tray, and I'm like, well, clearly he's lost, and clearly there's something of a story here, but
right.
Okay.
All right. Well, Yuli, have you picked an event that you want to do for next week? I don't even know, to be honest.
Yeah, I was thinking we'd do Vegas.
All right, Vegas, the Las Vegas Halloween Classic presented by Legacy Disc. That is the one I assumed you were going to pick, so I do have it up here right now. All right. Well, because we're gonna give.
Should we talk about who won it last year?
Sure, go ahead. I was gonna say we're gonna give Yuli his. I think he gets to pick first because he's had a chance to look, and I honestly haven't yet. But I'm gonna put mine.
I actually haven't looked at all.
Oh, perfect. All right.
But I can go.
Yeah, and I haven't really either.
Yeah, none of us have looked, so this is great. So we'll. I'm gonna go ahead and make my picks while you go ahead and talk. Go ahead, Yuli.
So yeah, the cool thing about this weekend is we're going back to Sunset Park.
Mm-hmm.
I guess last year we played it on a traditional golf course as like a test run for the Gentlemen's Club, and they ended up not even using the course that we played.
Okay.
And
that wasn't used? Really?
And then for the Gentlemen's Club, they used a completely different traditional golf course. And then for this Halloween Classic, we're going back to Sunset, which is what I'm really excited about. I've always loved playing there.
Now, can you just clarify real quick? Mm-hmm. Sunset has a few, we'll say, community challenges. I mean, it's a heavily trafficked and or heavily multi-use park, is it not?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think Las Vegas really has a lot of parks in general. So
Okay.
It's definitely used a lot. And a few people live there also.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Like I said, multi-use.
Multi-use for sure.
You'd say that's their home course.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Too easy.
Oh,
All right, go on. I've got my picks all lined up.
I got my picks all lined up. So Yuli, go ahead and
Give us what you got.
All right, I'm going to pick myself to win the tournament.
All right.
I'm going back to back out there. I've always played well at Sunset, and I feel like I need a little redemption after last weekend.
So you think your putting game's going to come back?
Or the baskets are going to get 3 times
It
bigger.
has to be better than last.
Or the baskets get 3 times bigger. Okay.
Second, I'm going to pick Bobby Music. He just always plays out there. Very good out at Sunset Park and in Vegas in general. He's always a competitor, and he's always right there. I actually had the pleasure of battling with him last year, where I only edged him out by a stroke, so I'm sure he's pretty hungry also for the win. And then third place, I'm going to pick Derek Billings. I saw that he signed up, and I think that as long as he doesn't 30 putt a hole,
I was going to bring that up. Yeah,
play okay. I mean, that's a super wild card picks because you never know if he's even going to finish a tournament nowadays.
I know. That's exactly what I was thinking. Go on.
But one out there as many times as really anybody. So he's a very strong pick also. So it's like 50-50 of what you can go with Derek.
Yeah.
And then fourth place. Oh, God. I really haven't looked at the list, so I'm going to go with how about Joey Madrid?
Okay.
He's a local.
Yep.
He can. I know he can shoot good rounds out there. So I'm gonna go with him.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, Joey Madrid. Yeah, that's kind of a dark horse. He's a 953 rated player, but he's got a PDGA number of 15270. So signed up just very shortly after me, and a couple years after Terry. So, all right. Do you want to go second, Terry? Or do you want to go third?
I'll go second.
Okay.
Our picks are actually relatively similar, Yuli.
I think they.
Yeah, they're all probably going to be, there may be a wild card. I had the last second left Billings in my lineup because Billings is definitely, last year he removed himself from the tournament, but he was really unhappy with the facility. He wanted to be back at Sunset, and he said, I will come back and I will play again, but it's got to be at Sunset. That's where I want to play. Well, I'm going to put him in fourth place. Okay. We all know he could win this thing. He could DNF. We'll see.
If Derek Billings were to practice, he's one of the most talented players I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Worlds in 2011
no
showed that.
Problem putting him as the best left-handed player in the world if he were to actually
commit to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stay committed to it. I totally agree. And that's why he is such a wild card here, because we just don't know where his mentality will be that weekend.
Right.
But D. Bill, I got in fourth. I went with Proctor, who's actually the highest rated player for the weekend, but I went with him in third place. And then, like you, I went with Bobby Music, second place. He's going to be coming in hard after you, and I've got you picked to win it again. So, again, Yuli in first, Music second, Proctor in third, and D-Bill, Derek Billings in fourth or 999, one of the two.
That's kind of... this is sad. My picks are very similar.
You would.
Well, first and second, I got Paul in Music. But third, I went with a local, Steve Berger.
Oh, yeah? I met Steve last year.
Yep. So I think Steve, he's a high-rated player. He's from the area. I think that he's going to be the one to finish the tournament, unlike Billings, who I didn't pick.
Okay.
No, it's Steve Billings. And then fourth, I have Proctor. I've got James Proctor coming in fourth. So I do not have Billings. So Derek, don't let me down. Go out, have a few drinks the night before. Stay at the tables a little later.
Man, just go out there and have a good time.
That's right. Go out, have some fun. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know what they say. Man. So yeah, I did not pick Derek. Although I think, like I said, as we saw, starting from Worlds in 2011, that guy, when he is practiced up, he is a phenomenal player. He's a long thrower. He's a good putter. Yeah, one of the best lefties out there.
His good friend Drew Griswold.
Drew Griswold.
Sorry. Drew,
We have a Drew Griswold in
Here-
here in Wisconsin.
actually, the sponsor of these delightful headphones. Thank you again, Drew. That's where I was going with that. I wanted to say first, thanks, Drew, for the headphones
Yeah.
again. But Wander and Co. Drew Gibson has told us that Derek has taken on a few other priorities, and golf and competing at the level that he used to compete at just isn't as much of a priority for him anymore. And that's why we see him with a little bit more of a lackadaisical approach to some of these tournaments. So we're not necessarily razzing on him. We have good reason to, or good insight as to how things have gone down for him. And
Right, and anybody who knows him knows that if he goes out there, he is going to try and win.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
yes.
When he tees it up, he's trying to win the tournament. He's not just out there to mess around and stuff. And I'm sure he was trying last year until he took the however many
The 11,
The
or
disputed
whatever.
14 to 16.
14
Okay.
to 16.
Something like that. And D Bill, let's be real. D Billings is trying to win at the tables. I think he's trying to win the party, and I think he's trying to win the tournament. He's going for the trifecta when he shows up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we wish him the best of luck as long as it's fourth. Those are some pretty solid picks.
Yeah.
It's tough when we see, there's certainly a separation there in some of our most upper echelon players that are there, and then it seems to tail off. So that's why you see so many of our picks.
I made my picks before hearing yours, but then after hearing yours, I wanted to switch up Bobby and Paul to just to try to get more points. But then I thought, I'd rather take Paul personally because I think you've been playing a lot more than Bobby probably, and you guys, I know you guys play well there, both of you. So
Should be
Right,
good to watch.
Honestly, Bobby, no matter at Sunset, Bobby's good.
yeah,
Period. And Derek's good there. I think all three of us have won at Sunset, so those are all really good picks.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a little bit of a crapshoot at that point, but
And it's kind of weird not to see like the Rico brothers there. They usually
I'll go.
Go.
I'll go as far as saying I almost was gonna just go with a random dark horse pick of putting. I mean, really dark because he's not even listed on the registration. I don't
Rico.
know that I would rule Steve Rico out. I've sent him a text or two and given him a hard time, but with Legacy backing that event, and I know they were there last year. But then again, Steve Rico went last year and didn't even play.
Yeah.
And this year, I don't know if he's looking to do the same. I know they're just really busy over there at the warehouse, and there again, their priorities have changed. This was this event along with a number of other events like USDGC. Steve Rico is a staple at those events, and now he's making some family and business decisions to say, hey, I'm going to stay home for the weekend and I'm going to focus on the Legacy business. So. But I wouldn't be surprised either if tomorrow we looked and his name was on the list. So on just a whim, I was going to take a random shot at throwing him in there, but I wasn't that courageous, we'll say.
And honestly, I had some inside information. Nate and Nico. I'm pretty sure Nico was traveling with Nathan. And they threw me a text asking what the payout was going to be and stuff. So that it's possible that we were to see those two there also.
Okay. Well, interesting. So there might be a little bit of a shakeup. I could see, that not being too much of a jaunt over for Nico. Did everyone kind of sprawl after Idaho? I mean, I think of that huge payout, and we were talking about how it's already kind of a small group that's there in terms of our travelers. Was that kind of the final?
I talked to Eagle briefly about what his plans were going to be afterwards, and I think he went home. But I also think he's going to be going back out. I think he's going to do the Texas tour.
Okay.
Piney Woods and VPO.
Yep.
And I might have even seen him. No, I don't think I saw him signed up for Oklahoma Open, but I know for sure that him and Eric are going to go play in Texas, so they're not done this year.
Yeah, exactly. Eric and Tina, just before you came on, were saying just that they're going to head down there, and that Eric, has some friends and people and whatnot, and that they were going to do VPO and then the Piney Woods. So
Yeah.
including
And,
Eagle, and that makes perfect sense then.
Yeah, and I also talked to Eagle about why. I said, well, aren't you burnt out a little bit? Don't you want to go home? And he said, no way. I want to play as much as I want. And he said that the off season he thinks hurt him this season, and so he wants to kind of play through the season. He's talking about going to Florida maybe. So that was interesting to hear from him.
Well, is that the difference between you and your mid-ish 20s, or a few of our other players, and then Eagle, who's freshly 18? Is there maybe that a little bit of that difference right now?
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, when I was first coming out on tour, I wanted to play as much as possible, and every new place and new tournament I wanted to go to and experience. And now there's I don't think there's really a tournament I haven't played. He's like, have you played the Piney Woods Open? And I'm like, yeah, like in 2008 or something. I was there. He's like, oh, is it sweet? And I'm like, yeah, it's good, man. You should go get the experience and stuff. So it's cool to see him very excited to play. And it's not like I'm slowing down either. I mean, I'm still out here, and I'm playing Vegas this weekend, and then maybe the Shark Tooth Open the week after. So it's not like I'm really slowing down, but I don't think I'm as excited as Eagle is to go out and play.
Well, and
it's hard when you're young.
Well,
I mean, it's hard or when you get older, it's hard to replicate that excitement what a young kid has.
Well, and maybe it's not so. And to add to that, you might be willing and ready to play in a tournament next weekend and the weekend after, and spacing them out. But you're probably at this stage of the year end in your career, you're just going to be a little bit more methodical. That you're not hopping in a plane and you're not going to fly literally across country or drive all the way across country for one event. They're going all over the place. And maybe, I don't want to say they're not reckless, but they're just a little bit more free-spirited with going anywhere and everywhere. You're like, well, this event's kind of sort of getting me back towards Phoenix in the next few weeks, and it seems like you're just being a little bit more methodical about the ones that you may be hitting, which makes perfect sense.
Exactly, and it's like I don't want to give the wrong impression to tournament directors and stuff, but it's really just gas money to get home.
Sure.
I played in Kansas City last weekend, and it was like, whatever, the 8-hour drive from where I was to there, and then I played 2 tournaments and made like close to $800, and then that paid for me to get to Idaho, and then Idaho, I put in some money, and then now I'm on my way to Vegas, and it's like if I don't hit those tournaments up, to me that's just I'm wasting money, kind of.
Yeah, well, you're driving past free money or money that can be earned. You don't want to leave money on the table, so to speak.
Right, exactly.
And it makes perfect sense for you. Anything else new or exciting that we can expect to hear from out of you? And I think we pretty much know where you're touring and what you're doing. You got anything else on the plate or the agenda?
No, not really. I'm actually working on a Ulibarri store. I'm gonna have some products coming out hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So look out for that to drop. It's gonna be called ulistore.com. You'll be able to pick up some Uli gear and stuff. I'll be probably sponsoring some Smashbox people out there, dropping some stuff for you guys.
Awesome,
cool, appreciate it.
So expect that to happen. But no, not really. I've just been kind of working on that and trying to get through the season and get back home. Can't wait to get home.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, people want to know. Chris Cobb is out on the board, a great Smashy friend of the show and all of us. What do you have a rough arrival date? Is there gonna be a big Uli homecoming party for you?
I don't think so. I'm gonna go see my family in Shelley probably first. I'm gonna go from Vegas, probably just pretty much straight home. I was thinking about maybe stopping at the Grand Canyon and checking that out. That's something else to do, but no, I'm just I am very excited to get home. It's been a long season. This is the first time in my career that I went from the Memorial and didn't go back home one time. So
yeah, that's incredible.
It was a long season for me, a really long season. Yes. It was worth it, but
take like a week-long nap.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to get home and see my family and my friends and just kind of get into a good routine again. It'll be great.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we can let you go. We can let you get back at it. We know you got more planning and and things to take care of.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how busy you can stay even when you're not in the middle of the season?
Yeah, it is, and then looking at next year and stuff, and it doesn't look like it's going to be slowing down. I mean, with the Pro Tour and the World Tour and the National Tour, it seems like just those tournaments right there is gonna be 25 tournaments or something.
Yeah, I know. We're already starting to send out emails to people and look for cameramen and things like that, and because we're going to be swamped next year too with live coverage, so which is great for all the viewers out there, but I'm looking at it going like, oh, there go all my my real job vacation days. So sorry, family.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking and I'm like, I want to try to cut down on some tournaments next year, and I'm looking and there's just no cutting down. Like, if I want to compete in the Pro Tour and the World Tour and the majors and the National Tour, it's like 25 tournaments again.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. Do you dare, as the question came in, do you dare, I don't know if I say dare, is there a ranking, is there a pecking order for you that in terms of your allegiance or your concerns with any of the tours? Do they all rank the same to you in terms of your dedication to them or your desire to win or perform well at them?
Are they just events to you?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they're definitely. I feel like first comes the majors, of course. I mean, that goes without saying. And then national tours, I still feel like are the biggest tournaments besides the majors. And then for me, I would love to win a world tour event. And then pro tour probably next.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, if you want to challenge Chris Herron, he'll be here in Wisconsin just trying to sweep up things with no competition. So you'd have to come here to find him. He's staying away from them, I'm guessing.
He is.
All right, Uli. Well, we appreciate your time. As always, we appreciate your picks and your desire and willingness to try to come contend with me every week. I like that. I like that this has been this has been wire to wire. When did we start this?
This
roughly what was the first event?
Let me go back up to the
that
very
goes
first.
all the way. Oh, the beginning wintertime.
The wintertime open, February.
God, when's the last time?
The last time I was home, I think.
Now, so Macbeth almost won every event last year and went wire to wire, but that's the season I'm looking to have. I don't know if I can improve on this season, except for having the lead from week 1 all the way through the end of the year. Can I even improve on that next year?
I don't know, because you won week 1 with a huge number, and you've pretty much maintained that number throughout. So you haven't gained or really lost anything. You know, I mean, there's if you were 30 points ahead of us now, I would be like, wow, you had a great you had one good weekend, Miller. One good weekend.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Tell that Ricky Wasaki, you had one good week during Worlds. No.
Other than the other majors.
Whatever. All right, Yuli, we appreciate it, and we'll check in with you later in the week, pal.
All right, have a good one.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, and I'll see you guys next week.
All right, take care, buddy.
Bye.
All right. So Paul Ulibarri did make up ground. I got to give him that.
Yep.
Again, having the inside scoop, knowing that Big Germ was going to be there, and then picking him even in the correct spot.
Yep, because it was
second?
he picked him second, and Germ actually tied for second, so it worked out. So nobody got points for third place. There was no third place.
I don't know if I agree with all that point structure, but I guess it doesn't matter.
It's the only way you can really do it.
Disc Golf Nerd says that Terry and Saki Bomb just crushed 2016. Let's be honest, and I can't argue with him.
I could argue with him.
Just saying. All right. I don't know if we have anything else that's specific to disc golf here.
We don't. Let's call it. We'll go to an after show where we'll chit chat for a little while, and then we'll see what happens.
All right, we will. So it's been a great night. Unless you're a Cubs fan like myself, the Cubs defeated ultimately 6-0 tonight in Game 1 of the World Series. Heartbreaking, but not giving up any hope here. By this time, next week? Are we going to be crowning the world champ Cubs sometime around there, just about?
No,
days,
not, well,
yet?
if the Cubs win out.
Yeah.
Or if the Indians win out.
Shut up. So this has been Podcast 116. We would like to thank Tina Stanaitis of Whale Sacks, along with Eric Oakley of Dynamic Disc. Thank you guys for joining us and giving us all of your insights. We'd also, of course, like to thank Paul Ulibarri for Yuli's picks, for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. Stick around. We're going to have an after show where we'll talk a little bit more nonsense, and we'll see you next week when you step inside the Smash Box.
Welcome back.
Hello, everyone. This is Smashbox TV's podcast number 116's after show. That flows so silky smooth.
The 116 after show.
Something like that. We're almost something we haven't even really said or addressed recently in any show. We're coming up on an anniversary here pretty soon.
11/11 was our will be our 2-year anniversary.
It's our anniversary.
But 11/11 is on a Friday. So we celebrate on the 14th, or the 15th then?
Yeah, probably something like that. So coming up on a couple years of this silly little podcast we like to call Smashbox TV. Thank you guys for joining us. This is the after show. We talk a little bit about disc golf, but more often than not, this is a great opportunity for us to engage with the amazing Smashies that are usually out on the YouTube page. We're recording here on a Tuesday night, as always, and on our YouTube page for Smashbox TV, we're taking in comments and questions. One that came in a moment ago here on the night of the World Series opener with the Cubs. The question was asked, since I'm a Cubs fan, am I going to have to wear any Indians hat or apparel if the Indians end up winning? No, I have no bets with anyone. In fact, I had to, as I said, pull out my 2013 World Series shirt, which didn't happen, or 2003, sorry, World Series shirt. I was hanging out behind Wrigley Field for some of the playoff action back in 2003, and like any team going for a big championship, there's a couple shirts made up, and some of them are appropriate, and some not so much. The other shirt that I thought about wearing tonight for my Cubs was just on the front. It's a very generic shirt, certainly not any branding for the Cubs. It just was a blue shirt, and in red and white lettering, I think it says, any team can have a bad century, and also very appropriate, as the Cubs have not won a World Series since 1908. So
I'm rooting for 2 bad centuries, but that's just me.
Yeah, you would. What do you know? Dan Harbeck, one of our favorite Smashies from Illinois, is out on the line. Says that the November 9th is his birthday, so right around Smashbox anniversary time. And Dan also a little heartbroken tonight, as I know he's a big Cubs fan as well. So Chris Cobb asked if we're taking each other out for dinner for our anniversary. That's not a bad idea, as long as he pays. Johnny V makes more money than I do.
I take all the Smashbox money.
Yeah, that too. Tina says, let's talk some smack. I don't know if there's any smack to be talked. Not while you're still listening, Tina. That'd be weird. We're going to wait for you to log off so we can talk about you guys. Disc Golf Nerd has been out on the board. I think he was talking a little bit earlier about how he's going to be doing some reviews of various discs or disc golf products. So
now,
look for those.
I suppose I was going to say, does Disc Golf Nerd have like a standard? I mean, as we've always,
I'm going to make this uncomfortable because I don't watch it.
I don't watch it either.
Okay.
Actually, I have.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he's got scales.
I have watched a few.
Is there a DGN scale out there? You're saying? But there's got to be.
But as we've known, DGN's going to throw a disc way different than Ricky's going to throw a disc way different. So
I heard.
Yeah. So I think I think it's good that we have someone like DGN out there, probably representing the average golfer, get out and throw those discs. I'm glad there's somebody, because there's really not.
There's been a few people that have come and gone, but I've always thought about it as well. But it's such an it's a cumbersome task and activity
It
to
is.
do.
And there is a great resource out there that's relatively up to date that shows the flight charts and flight paths out there. So if you can dig that up. But I give props to DGN for going out there and constantly doing that and getting that information out there to everybody, because it can be tedious.
Yes, I think I would get confused, and me as a retailer of discs for many years, I think I'd get confused because there's so many there's just so many subtleties between the disc and the manufacturers. If you say, a legacy Canon, and then immediately you're going to relate it to a DD this or an Innova that, and then some of these subtleties, and I think even within the manufacturers, I think it can be really tough to say, well, I've got a Firebird FL versus a Firebird, and so on and so forth, and just all these tiny little subtleties, and then the plastic types all affect it, and so on and so forth. I think you hit the nail on the head. Tedious is maybe a word that I think would come to mind, and that's where I would lose interest.
Yeah, well, DGN says he focuses reviews more on the feel, the plastic type, etc. He references flight charts for him and speculates for other arm speeds. His channel is much more beginner-oriented in a conversation style. See, I would just grab a disc, probably throw it, and be like, stable.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, that one's really stable. This one, not so stable.
Yeah, your reviews would be killer.
I think, lots of views. I'm going to call it the Instagram, the Instagram review.
Phoenix.
Maybe Vine. Maybe I can get it down to a Vine.
I think it's Phoenix Ruger Redbird had said, you said of possibly covering the PLO. What's the chances and details? I'll be just blunt as possible about it. The chances are very possible, at least conceptually, in terms of do I think I could make it happen? I do.
What PLO is?
The Phoenix Ladies Open.
The Phoenix Ladies Open. Okay.
It comes down to support, finances, sponsorship, whatever you want to call it. If there's a way that we can obviously offset my cost and put a couple dollars in my pocket, I would like to be there to help promote that event. So it comes down to finances. Cool. And I would love to cover it. I really would enjoy it. I know we've said it before. I think that's one of the major women's events, and I think it needs some legitimate exposure, and I think I can provide that or help provide that. So that's what I was referencing there.
That's good.
And I'll be talking to some more people and see if we can make that happen. I think I'm going to have a conversation with Zoe at some point as well, follow up with her. Writing a blog is hard enough. Country Disc Golf says, yes, I can't imagine doing any of that either. That's why I did a video blog, because I'm not a writer. And so I was like, I can babble for a few minutes.
I know, and that's why we do ours live, so we don't have to do any editing.
That too.
It makes it really simple. Sit down, turn the camera on, broadcast out to you guys, talk stupid for like 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and then we're done. Click.
Yeah. Disc Golf Nerd is jealous of Tina being in Utah. His uncle lives there, and it is rad. Utah, Colorado, that whole area.
I haven't been to Utah. I've never been to Utah.
Have you ever been to Colorado?
I just layovers.
Okay, so
just the Denver airport.
I'll admit I was actually surprised when I really started talking again with Ray and Matt about the Colorado scene. I was surprised at how little I've been in Colorado. I've only I was there back in the first year of college to go skiing during a spring break, and then
I drove through it when I was little, but that's
yeah. I've spent very little time playing any significant amount of golf in Colorado, and then being there for the Rocky Mountain Women. So I think I've only spent a few total days or a few weeks of my life in Colorado, which is surprising. All right, Joel, let's keep it PC here, or PG as well.
PG. So how do you like your new Pixel phone?
Oh, yeah. So
Terry got the new Google Pixel. For those of you that don't know, it's Google's branded phone. Easy Liz, I know you're an iPhone person, and I just to be fair, I got my iPhone here. Terry has himself a Pixel. He's an Android person.
Oh, yeah.
Try not to fault him too much. So what you had a Samsung Galaxy Explode. You had the 5.
No, I previously had a Samsung Galaxy 5.
5.
It had been quite a while since I upgraded, and I'll admit I was on the list thanks to a recommendation per Jeremy Colling to go with the Note 7. He was a really big fan of it when I talked to him in Nantucket, and that was just prior to the news exploding of it, but it was just prior to most of the backlash regarding that. And so I was really stuck on trying to get a Note 7 myself, and obviously that that's not happening. And I ultimately got myself a Google Pixel. Now this is the XL version, so it's I think a 5.5-inch screen with 128 gig hard drive, 128 gigs storage space.
Mine's 128 as well. So yeah, yours is.
Oh yeah, mine's bigger.
You got the XL.
Yeah.
Well, you're a bigger guy.
Some have said. Sometimes. Here's what I'm going to say. It has not blown me away. I think it's a really nice phone. I like it. I like a lot of features about it. It did not knock my socks off as oh my God, this thing's revolutionary. It's blowing me away.
What would though?
I don't know.
I mean,
but it didn't.
I think we've come to the point in phone technology where there's so much you can do with a rectangular device that fits in the palm of your hand. Short of a crazy new OS, which you're familiar with Android, it's not going to be much different than what you had.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a lot more that we can do at this point. I think the next step you're going to see is probably a bezel-less phone. I know there's one or two out there, but just having zero bezel on a phone, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, it's it's really nice. It's taken some really good pictures. The battery life is outstanding. If you opt to keep it on the battery saver mode, you could legitimately, even with heavy use, get more than a full day's worth of use out of it. And that's never happened to me, ever. I'm on any given day, I'm on my phone a lot. Mm-hmm. Obviously, talk time is something that doesn't take up a lot of power. But between navigation stuff, messaging, Instagram, Facebook, all of those types of things, especially if you have this on the power saver mode. Now, one thing, you see a lot of their commercials, and I don't want to say debunk their commercial, but a little clever marketing in their commercial, which has been airing a ton lately since it came out last week, is how they say that you can charge it for 15 minutes and get a 7-hour use out of it. I think that's what they say in their commercial.
Something like that, yeah.
You may charge it for 15 minutes and you may get that 7 hours of time on battery saver mode. Maybe I was a little naive in thinking it charges, as in the whole thing charges in 15 minutes. That is not absolutely not true. And I think they're a little ambiguous there. I think they kind of let you believe that.
Advertisers ambiguous?
Never. So that's one of the things that I thought was interesting about it. It certainly does charge very quickly. One of the things that did blow my mind on Thursday night when I kind of unboxed it was
"Hello, Terry."
We were watching the Packer game, and me and a couple other golfers were out at a restaurant watching the Packer game.
Thanks for inviting me.
When I plugged it into my Samsung in order to transfer some stuff, it came with a nice transfer adapter to do some additional transfers that most phones don't do. It actually, there's an option, it could charge another device. So it's kind of like a built-in phone.
Yeah,
so it was literally saying, letting me, you're charging your other phone. I'm like, you just made my Samsung its bitch. Really?
That's one way to put it.
I don't know. It's just not normal to have a phone and be like, I'm going to charge another device with my phone.
No, but it's nice. I mean,
it was kind of funny. No. So, it's nice. I like it. One of the big features, I think one of the bigger features on it, which I personally will probably never use, is on the very back is the fingerprint security scan.
I use mine all the time.
Why?
Because
you're that worried about somebody?
No, it's just easier to log into a phone if I just have to put my finger on it. I don't have to put in my little
passcode or pattern or whatever.
I can put in the passcode, but I don't have to. And using the fingerprint identification is great for NFC devices. So if I walk up, we have a snack machine at work on the first floor that takes NFC. So I walk up with my thumbprint. It's attached to my Apple Pay. I walk up and it goes blink, and it says, "Oh look, your credit card was charged $1. Thanks, fatty. Now you can get those." Those cupcakes.
Those 6 packs of cookies.
you can get those cupcakes, fatty, and that's what it should say, because that's what I'll usually do if they happen to have Hostess cupcakes in there. So it's really nice in that, and you can just use it for soda machines, or when you go to Subway. I use mine at Subway all the time. So that's what I like it because then I don't have to with your crazy code or whatever you put in. It just works with your fingerprint.
Sure, and I guess since it is on the back, I could I may try to do it.
I guarantee you once you do it, you'll start getting used to it, and you'll like
The
it.
one thing I am getting used to, and this may be a little too much tech talk or not for people, but the one thing I'm getting used to
show.
is the fact that it does have the Google Assistant, which is their answer to Siri, I believe.
Yeah.
And I have gotten, I don't want to say lazy, it is that much more efficient. As I was going to bed this weekend very late, it was nice rather than going to my just my alarm app and setting my alarm, just to being able to hold down a button and say, okay, set my alarm for 8 a.m. or whatever time.
Yep.
And again, that's not new technology, but
No.
it's newer to Android and newer to the device.
Your old phone could have done that, I think. I think
Maybe it could have done that specifically, but then Google
but the
Assistant,
Google Assistant does a lot more.
correct. I could also say, and I did just that. Leaving the airport, I said, find me a Bird's Nest disc golf course, and it was.
Yeah,
it
I
was
think
great.
that's the one advantage that Google has over the Apple is their assistant is smarter than Siri, but they have so much more data to work with.
Sure.
So, but I think that eventually in the next 5 years they'll all be compatible and they'll all be the same quality and this
relatively
and that, so.
similar. Exactly. I will say, in transferring over my apps, I have a 2048 app game on my phone, and then I logged in on this phone and I played it, and even though the record high was at 0, I broke what was my old record on my old phone.
It's a better phone.
So, and then last night on the way home from Denver, I broke that record again. So I have yet another all-time high. So the phone is tremendous.
Clearly a better phone.
So much smarter. So that's the phone talk. I enjoy it. The battery life to me may be the single most important thing.
Correct. And I've noticed on my iPhone 7 that it has the battery life is much better than my iPhone 6s as well.
And obviously it helps that they're both new and so on. The other thing that I will say, though, is getting a little bit used to is having the USB-C ports.
Reversible, baby.
Which are reversible, which is great. However, and they're obviously on my computer and a number of other places, and we're going to see more of these around. However, every Android user for the last 5 or so years has had the same the same micro USB port.
Yes, but you are on the bleeding edge, and everyone will go to the USB-C.
So
unless you're an iPhone user.
Well, that's why I say though, you have so many of these other cords. I do, at least.
Yep.
Now, there's the USB-C cord, but they are great. They actually give you an adapter, so if you didn't, so if you have some of those other cords, actually you could use those still as well, which is nice.
Awesome.
So there you have it.
These are your phone tech talk for Terry and John.
Yeah, that's your phone tech talk. Kind of similar, but not along those lines. I was looking for, since the inception of the Disc Golf Guys page.
Oh, not since the movie Inception?
Nope, which I haven't seen yet.
Seriously?
Yeah. Since the inception of the Disc Golf Guy page, I've had the same. No, I guess I haven't. That's a lie. I've had my logo there as my profile picture. I would like somebody to make my logo integrated with a Cubs logo, just for the special occasion, because my logo's almost never changed in all these years. Very little. Just for the Facebook. So if I've
that's
any good
probably
graphic
something
artists,
you should have thought about like a week ago.
Oh, I know. But now they're in the World Series. It's that much more special.
I know, but by the time they get it to you, it's going to be like...
No. Somebody will whip it up tomorrow. They're good. People are good.
I was going to say, if someone knows anybody that has music, I always think that the podcast could use an opening intro. We had one for a while, and it just kind of... It wore on me, so I'm always looking for interesting... So if you know anyone that does music and wants to write or has intro music that they would love to give us to play for free, I'm down with that.
You'll receive dozens of accolades, but dozens of people will listen to it. Countless dozens? Thousands
of views.
Thousands of people. Dan Harbeck says on the board, plug the cold turkey. Yeah, I should have done that a little earlier, but that's good. Cold Turkey 11 is a tournament I'm putting on. It's a PDGA C tier. It takes place so cleverly just post Thanksgiving. So I believe that is technically November 26th and 27th. Yep, it is. And I just posted all of the registration information up for it on iregisteredonline.com. It is a PDGA tier. Again, it's in its 11th year, taking place in a course in southeastern Wisconsin, which is very close to the Illinois border, literally just minutes off of the Illinois border. And all day Saturday, or on Saturday, it will be all professional divisions and all advanced divisions. A lot of the times when I host events, it's been all professional divisions and then just advanced men. In this case, it's all advanced divisions plus all pro divisions on Saturday, and every other division you can think of will be hosted on Sunday. So it's going to be a player pack only or trophy only tournament. Not a lot of those have been done in Wisconsin. I'm trying to get a huge players pack to make things move a little bit more smoothly, and then just offer trophies, but with a super big player pack. And we'll see how that works out. I hope people enjoy it. So that's the 26th and 27th. I'm going to plug it every weekend until then, every week. PDGAC tier. People signed up almost immediately, too. It was great. We're not quite Colorado. We didn't sell it in 12 minutes.
Well, this is what, the 12th year?
The 11th.
Oh, I wasn't listening.
Hence the 11th annual Cold Turkey.
I wasn't actually listening. I was reading the board while you were talking because I'm not going to play the event, so I kind of blocked you out.
I know. I only said it 3 times.
I honestly wasn't listening. That's the funny part.
But yes, it's the 11th annual,
11th annual.
and immediately following. So there's Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and then on Saturday, all pros plus all advanced divisions. Dan Harbeck says he's going to play.
That's awesome.
I think Dan.
I think I've only played once. I think of all.
Has it been even that many?
I think yeah, because I played before. It was at. Didn't you do Cold Turkey up in Beaver Dam?
No.
One year, because I had an old Cold Turkey trophy that it was like almost like a snow globe.
No, that would have been the Random Beaver Roundup.
No, this wasn't the Random Beaver. I think I played the very first year, and then I have not played since.
Well, the snow globe was the Random Beaver.
Well, then maybe I've never played.
I don't think you have.
It could be I have.
The first couple, I think the first 2 years were Parkside. Then the third year, which was the year the boss came out, I remember, because they arrived on Monday. My fault, but they arrived on Monday. Some of the first ever custom stamp bosses in the country, actually. So I had 150 total discs with the stamp on it. So that was the third year. And then then I think I did one or 2 years at Dretska, winter course or a variation of that, and then it's been at Gray Fox for many, many years. So make sure you guys come and play. Should be a good event. Should be fun and stuff. Hellbound Disciple says, I like the trophy-only events. Yeah, should be. It's going to be different because we don't do a lot of those in Wisconsin, almost virtually none. So we'll see how the test run is received. You're getting a ton of stuff up front, and then play for a trophy.
I'm sure it'll go over swimmingly.
Okay. If you don't like it, don't sign up. If you don't like that format, I don't know that I have a whole lot besides that. I know we've got some smashies out there. Ran into another gentleman out in Colorado. He showed up on the course. He had no idea the tournament was going on. And he showed up and we started talking. He's like, "Oh yeah, I watch your stuff." And I told him Dave Feldberg's over there, and he went and I think talked to Dave. He's like, "Oh yeah, Dave changed my putting routine, a year ago or so, and I'm putting way better and this and that." And so it was kind of funny that he was in tune that he watched some of the biggest events going on, but then the tournament that was going on in his backyard that had 100 people at it.
No clue.
He wasn't there for it. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I think what it does is it just proves the diversity of our viewers, but then of just the disc golfers, that some are so in tune with certain things and some have no idea something else is going on. And we're talking about somebody. It's funny to me that someone could log in and watch the U.S. Okay, not the USDGC. Someone could log in and watch the Worlds live.
Yeah.
But then not know that there's a huge A tier going on in their backyard.
I mean,
it's funny to me.
I said the same thing. I might even have said this last week when I sent out 2 Dimax discs to the winner of the Skip Ace Fantasy Disc Golf thing. So he posted a picture on Reddit saying, "Oh, thanks, Johnny. I really appreciate it. Really cool. I can't wait to get out and throw one of these." And someone turns, and I've been promoting this all the beginning of the year. I kind of stopped in the middle of the year after you start into the season. Someone just flat out said, he's like, "How do I play?" like, I've never heard of this. And I said, what? Like, I put that out there so many times. How did you never hear of this? And some guy's like, yeah, I think someone even linked at one point to like one of the posts I made or something. And it was like, yeah, that's just people they're so in tune with certain things or certain groups that they don't
all the dots aren't connected.
Yeah, they don't completely get all the information all the time. So, and I guess it's different for us because that's kind of what we have to do. So, yeah, I don't have anything else. Anything? Nothing.
No. For those that didn't know already, obviously we had Eric Oakley and Tina Stanaitis on our regular show. We did our normal picks with Paul, and to me, what I'm interested to see as I thought one of the takeaways from the conversation with Paul and then in a reference to Eagle McMahon is, are we going to see more players take time off like our veterans do? Or are we going to see more players try and play more weekends? And I think only time will tell, because our upper echelon player base is going to get younger. So are they going to take more advantage and play more?
I would hope that they would take breaks. I would hope that they would, come the end of October, I would like to see them shut it down for like 2 months. Give your body a chance to build itself back up, fix any little tweaks you have, things like that, and then, start, really starting to hit the practice field hard early in the year and get ready for those early. Well, I mean, we've got a January event, a major this year, but normally the season starts about late February. So really kind of get set for that pattern. I think your body needs a break. Whether or not it helps your game, it hurts your game. That's that's on you to keep practicing. I know it's hard when you're not looking forward to an event to get out there and actually do the practicing, but I hope these young guys, especially with, as we've said before, with the torque and the pressure and the speed that they throw with, that they should just recover.
Yeah, they're throwing further and harder, as you said, the torque and pressure and speed and all those things. It's always been tiresome and rigorous on the body and whatnot for all of our players. Ken Climo, 20 years ago, was certainly playing a lot and pushing his body to his upper limits. And now the courses are double the length than what they even were then. Mm-hmm. And those all those things definitely need to be considered. I know we've spoken with Hannah Croak, and we've talked to her about some of the mechanics and some of the things that people are seeing. And Paul Macbeth has benefited from some of those conversations in saying that he didn't even realize he was doing certain things. And I don't know if Hannah quite credits herself for saving his whole career yet, but she definitely, found something that's going to probably be a good adjustment for him in the long run for many years in the future to come. So, and I think we're going to see more of that moving forward. Dan Harbeck asks, when will you gentlemen have a schedule of your coverages going into 2017?
I have a Google Calendar that's out there.
Mm-hmm. I think my phone has those too.
Yep. I don't believe, but these are just presumed events. We have not locked down a single event for next year, technically. We are working with, today we had an email.
Show me the money. That's all everybody that calls. We just say, show me the money.
Show me the money. We are working with the PDGA on some things. We are working with the Pro Tour on some things. So once we get that stuff locked down, it might not be until early next year before we have a hard and fast general idea of what we're going to do. I'll say this. Assume we should be at most major events that can be covered.
Yeah, I guess that'd be a good way to put it. I was going to say, or I'd follow that up and say...
Maybe not the term major, isn't it?
Exactly. I was just going to say, I don't know if that's the choice word I would have used. Let's put it this way. If you think we should be there, we're hopefully going to be there. Is that a good way to word it?
Yes, that's the goal.
If you think we should be there, we're hopefully going to be.
We're right now working on ways to get there.
Show me the money.
And then I'll take it.
Show me the money.
And then I'll take it.
So that's a good way to put it. Things are looking really good. It's just, as Johnny said, we got some final documents and details and things of that nature to get ironed out. there should be an official calendar for events locked in. Well, there will be.
Yeah, we'll have it, and it'll be a Google Calendar that's shared out there with everybody that wants it, and it'll be on our website, and we will put it out here on the podcast. So,
but if you're thinking like, oh, such and such event is happening, should Smashbox be there? And then if you think, yeah, they should be there, and then you think, oh, they'll probably be there, and then we think, yeah, we might be there. So it's really that simple, folks. One way or another, we'll make it happen.
I might not do any events next year. I might just sit and play my new Nintendo. So.
Sounds like a solid plan.
Hey, I have a full-time job, dude. I don't know about you. So, all right.
Yeah. I think that's about all we got. Unless you guys have some crazy, insightful questions, which you could. Kyle Underwood asks USDGC Live. That's a good question that, like others, is all up for conversation and debate. I with UC's post or his follow-up to his media reach, I don't know that that's in their plans or not.
The ball is in their court. We'll say that.
Is it too early to say that?
No.
It's 2016.
No, it's not too early.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It is definitely something that would be. The conversations all need to take place, and we'd have to start those conversations. So we can certainly not say anything about USDGC.
Yeah,
because we don't know.
Not at all.
So questions. I saw Liz Lopez on the board. Well, first of all, welcome back, Liz. We haven't seen you too much lately. Definitely haven't seen you on the disc golf scene itself.
She's been out on Facebook. She's been playing a little bit more.
I saw that, but good to have you back, chiming back in. I'm seeing more things at least, like Johnny said, from the social media side, but you should give all our Smashies an update as to what you've got going on. You had some exciting life changes all taking place, and now it looks like your golf game is back on the front burner. Is that a good way to put it? That's what it looked like. So we hope that's the case. Ron, we can't talk strategy because we just don't know what it is. Asking about USDGC subject again. Why can they have their method of coverage and have live as well? Again, those are all strategic decisions that will have to get talked about in the upcoming months. Would Smashbox want to sponsor my tourney in April? We don't really have much to sponsor with.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have much in terms of sponsorship. We would be interested if you wanted to sponsor to pay us to come cover it, and then we'll give you some shirts. Is that an idea? We don't really have much in terms. In fact, anytime we have product, which I'm usually in charge of, that's to help generate sponsorship for stuff that is needed on the Smashbox side of things. Disc Golf Nerd says if USDGC isn't live, he's going to cry. Okay. That might happen. It might not. Sounds like both could get together. We'll see. There would be an article out soon. Check that out on the DD site. So for all you Liz Lopez stalkers, she's going to have an article.
I believe we're called Lizzies.
Lizzies.
Just saying.
Okay. I can see that. You look like a Lizzie. I'm a Lizzie. So we'll get some more information from that article, I'm sure. How about them first run felons? I don't have any of those. Maybe if you're a Lizzie, you might be able to get your hands on some. Pay Smashbox to sponsor you. So yes.
Yeah, anyone that wants to say they're sponsored by Smashbox, you're welcome to. You're not getting anything
unless you're using a Facebook. Unless you're going live on YouTube or going live on Facebook and calling yourself Smashbox. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea for sponsorship is a shout out for a spot on the flyer. That's something we're absolutely open to. That's something that could be applied to even our podcast or could get applied to a show. I'll say this, if we're at a large event, I'm just going to make one up and say it's the PDGA Super Duper Open, and we're there, and you're hosting an event 2 or 3 weeks later, and it's maybe nearby or it's near, that's a potential stop between there and where all the next pros are going or whatever the case might be. If you want some kind of audible recognition or you have a promo commercial for your video, we can certainly treat those as a commercial, and we could talk about whatever the rates would be. Again, that could be talked about here on our podcast. We have rates that could happen for that during a live broadcast, whether it's a mention or a website link or a little thing up in the corner, some kind of discount code or whatever it could be. There's a lot of different options. So if somebody is looking for some more exposure, there's ways we can go about that. And I'm kind of surprised more people haven't taken advantage of that idea of having someone like me just say, during a commercial break, or what wouldn't be a commercial break, but come back and say, oh, hey, for everyone out there, log into such and such a website. The Super Duper Open is taking place next weekend.
Yep.
We can certainly do things like that. We would be all for it.
Are you dressing up for Halloween?
I don't know where I'm going to be, so that's to be determined. But I doubt it.
Are you going to dress up like Derek Billings?
Like D-Bell? I'd have to lose weight and gain height. I don't know if I can fake those things. I'm more of a Guy Fieri kind of look right now.
Okay.
So I'd be better off pulling off that look. Or Larry the Cable Guy, I've been told I look like, unfortunately. Not good looks. But how about you?
I don't know. I haven't thought too much about it.
You should go as an iPhone.
No. I wanted to go as Ernie from Bert and Ernie.
I could see that.
But I've looked for the shirt like online. They're all like $40. I don't want to pay $40 for a shirt I'm going to wear like once.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. So, and I was thinking about it because I saw Liz's costume that she put on Facebook. She's going to be, and I was thinking I bet you I can probably tell you the 3 most common costumes for women this year. It's going to be Daenerys from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
What Liz is being, which is 11 from Stranger Things.
Okay.
And Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad. I think if you go out to your downtown for this Halloween, I think you're going to see those 3 costumes on women the most.
How many Hillary Clinton?
I'm going to go with probably close to none. But I bet you for men, there's a lot of
Trump,
because this is easy and dumb.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it's just a dumb costume, not particularly the the person himself. I'm just commenting on the costume.
Okay.
So, yeah, Phoenix, you're right. I would be more of a Bert, but my daughter she loves Ernie, and I think she's going to be Rubber Ducky. So I wanted to be Ernie, but I just can't find a cheap shirt. Like there's all these shirts, but they're all sublimated. So they're like $40 shirts. And
Sure.
And again, I thought about just taking a white long sleeve shirt and taking marker to it, but that's a lot of effort.
So you don't want to pay and you don't want to put forth effort.
I want to just go and buy.
You sound like a disc golfer.
Yeah, I just want to go buy a quick outfit, and I can't find any. No, there'd be no Ken Bone.
Yes, plastic show and tell. We'll get to that at some point. Sean says he's dressing up as a professional disc golfer. Unfortunately, Sean, that's an easy cop-out because we have a lot of different looks and a lot of different people. Now, a few years ago, I don't know if it was specifically for Halloween, but a gentleman, I think overseas, had put on an Avery Jenkins jersey and an Avery Jenkins hat and was very much looking the part of Avery Jenkins. I don't know if he was just a really big fan or if that was in fact a Halloween costume.
Yeah, if Halloween was on Tuesday, I would recommend you and I dress up. But it's Monday.
I would be very inclined at that point to come up with a costume.
But it's Monday, so
I'm
not gonna bother.
Probably not. Ronald, thanks. Have a good night. We appreciate you tuning in and being here almost to the very bitter end. We appreciate it.
Curious Girl says ninja. My son is actually going to be a ninja, so he bought this little ninja outfit.
I think Curious Girl is a ninja already.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
I understand.
Yep. I wanted to do a costume with a disc sticking out of my head wound, but I never do it.
Pretty simple. Take an old piece of plastic, cut it, hot glue it to a crappy old hat that you have, and then walk around, maybe put a little blood. One of my son's friends did that with a baseball. He had a fake baseball hat that was right in popped up into his head, and that's what he went as just the other night to their little school dance.
So what do you think besides the Trump on the men's side? What would be the other two most popular?
I would think you'd see a lot of Jon Snow for men, maybe some Ken Bones because he's kind of the the thing going on right now. For men, other than that, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what the hot male costume is going to be this year.
Do I dare Google it?
2016. No, don't use the term hot male.
I'll just Google Halloween costumes. 2016 Halloween costumes.
Yep.
Adult. Should I go with?
No, I'm gonna guess adult.
Yeah, and I think they mean. It's okay. So this is kind of a generic site. You can shop by character, create a costume.
Mr. Robot, you're right. Mr. Robot could be a good one. I need to watch that. I've got them all recorded for season 1 and 2, and I need to start burning through them.
All right. So this looks to be an article on Fortune.com. Hot costume trends. Google blah blah blah. Costume ideas, as you said. Suicide Squad. Harley Quinn. Yep. Be prepared to see a lot of Harley Quinn.
There were some at my son's dance, and these are these are elementary school kids, which I thought was kind of
okay. So here are the top 10 searched Halloween costumes: Harley Quinn, Joker, superhero, pirate, Wonder Woman, witch, Batman, Star Wars, clown, and dinosaur.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see a lot of creepy clowns.
That's what I was thinking earlier today. I don't know how this thought crossed my mind. Somebody was talking about costumes, and I was thinking, are the clowns gonna be?
I hope that's a fad that just dies soon.
Yeah, I don't know if that's and if we're gonna see a ton of them come.
And I think for men you're gonna see a lot of maybe this is for young boys. Kylo Ren is very popular right now. So Minecraft is always a popular kid's outfit with the big box head. But I don't know. I don't know adults.
I was thinking of maybe going like Justin Timberlake. No, think I could pull that off. The retired Justin Timberlake.
Just like, hey, let myself go. Me and Jessica Biel, we're just,
Okay, maybe not. Gonna dress up. They're very well. Like again, it's gonna depend a little bit on the timing. You think we'll see an influx of like Harry Carey's possibly being the timeliness of the World Series?
If the Cubs are close to winning, if they're down like 3-0, 3 games to nothing, I don't necessarily think you will.
Sure,
but
you may need to commit already, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is
with it being week out. Clown costumes are actually forbidden this Halloween in all schools in Finland this year.
I know there was a state down south. Was it Georgia?
Or south.
Yeah, or it might have just been a county in Georgia that has forbidden clown costumes.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're going to see that quite a bit, actually. I think you're
Glenn.
going to see.
I bet you're going to see a lot of Glens from Walking Dead. Just after this past weekend, you're going to see a lot of Glens from Walking Dead.
Dude, don't spoil it for me.
I've
never watched an episode.
I stopped after season 4. I think they're in season 7 now.
Okay. It didn't hold your attention?
No, it got really boring for a season or two, and so I just kind of like, And I've got them all recorded, and I'm thinking literally about just deleting them all and just being done. Just that'd be the last step. Like, I'm not going to watch anymore. I'm kind of done with you. So,
fair enough. I've watched 0.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It hasn't. It just didn't. It wasn't able to keep my interest. It seemed like the same. Like I thought they could have gone so many better ways, and it just kind of seemed like the same thing over and over. I don't know, but it's just me.
Okay. The one thing I'm going to research that's totally unrelated is it's back to the Cubs. Conversations about hanging out. Some of you know I went down to Wrigleyville and hung out during one of the NLCS games. It was a Saturday night, and just kind of took in all the sights and the sounds of Wrigleyville. And I know that they've been making, there's been some articles, which I haven't had a chance to read, something about, cover charges at bars, which I can understand, but something to the degree of basically trying to control the streets a little bit more. Obviously, it's usually a very festive area. It's in a neighborhood area, and parking's insane as it is, most of Chicago. But it sounds like my plan of just going down there and hanging out might be a little bit more difficult. So that's something I'm going to research. I'd be curious to know if we have any Smashies out there that have any inclination whatsoever of getting to a World Series game. Indians or Cards fans, I think we'd have a better chance of it being a Cubs fan. Indians or Cubs fan, sorry. I'd just be curious. As someone like a Dan Harback out there, is there any chance that you should put that one on the board for everyone to see?
Nah, that's fine. It's funny though.
Johnny's now looking for some Halloween costumes.
I just looked at the top 20 pinned Halloween costume, and there was one person was dressed as a Cool Whip, another was dressed up as a horse, and had a Nene sign, so it was a whip and Nene.
Yep. Oh, Scott Smitherman wants a shout out for the Salinas Valley Open. I don't know anything about it. Oh, it's your first PDJ sanctioned event, so that is definitely awesome. Sean, I'm going to go, or Scott, I apologize. I'm going to go a step further. For this, it's our, so meaning it's coming up, or it just happened. I'm guessing that you're saying it's coming up, and you didn't ask me to come out and film it.
I bet you're gonna see a lot of Deadpools.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's coming up. The Salinas Valley Open. Here's your shout out. This is the free one. Looks like you currently have 81 players, so I'm guessing you're getting pretty close to full. I'm also guessing this is somewhere in the NorCal, San Francisco-ish area. I'm looking at some of your players. I don't even know where Salinas is, but little reasonable deduction here by some of the names I'm seeing. Kelly Greenhoe and Huma. I know a few of those gentlemen. Let's see who else I know on your list here. Got 11 players in Open, 16 in Advanced, 10 in Masters, or Advanced Masters, sorry. So best of luck to you guys for your first PDGA event. Yeah, Watsonville, Santa Cruz, Monterey. Yep, definitely looks like that given area. Beautiful area to play golf in. Yep, and it's Saturday. All this disc golf talk, and I'm working on a computer intended to be my new media center PC. All right. Are you still editing videos, Country Disc Golf? I know you've dipped your toe in that. And let me know what you're working on there. All right, we're going to call it.
Yep, we're done.
We're done, I think they say. So, yeah, it's been fun. We didn't have a lot for you tonight. Sorry, during the after show. Not too much going on. We hope you guys have a safe and happy Halloween. Hopefully it's relatively, if not completely, clown-free, because that's just bad news. So, go Cubs. For Johnny V and myself, and for all of Cubs Nation, fly the W and stuff. We'll see you guys next week when you step inside the Smash Box.